เฉียบคมผมเชื่อว่าใครได้ลองใช้เนี่ย
Of course, my name is Blue Panda. Joining me on the mics today, it is the one and only Cthulhu and KT. We're all here, the full three-person team on the desk today, all repping a bit of drip. Unfortunately, one of them, there she is. She's joining us today.
Oh my god.
How are we feeling coming into yet another awesome play day? Cthulhu, we'll ask you first. What do you reckon? How's the season gone so far?
Honestly, season went actually pretty neato. We've seen quite a few relatively interesting scorelines, and definitely keen to see how will the remainder of the playdays, given that we still have 3 more playdays to watch, and to see how will they go from there on the playoffs as well. Look, I'm very much keen to see how will, even the top 4 will really shape up.
Let's go to the expert, KT. As someone who actually knows what's going on here in the Unstoppable Women's League, what are your thoughts? How has it been going so far?
I think it's gone a little bit haywire. I think a lot of the results haven't gone the way that I thought it would, and a lot of results where I thought teams would beat this so-and-so team easily haven't gone that way either. So I think it's been a really exciting season so far, yeah.
Well, look, yeah, exciting definitely does describe how things have gone so far here this season. Obviously, new look, new sponsor, everything makes for a pretty great time. But like you said, Cthulhu, 3 weeks still remaining here in week 4. I mean, so far the implications have been as we'd expected. The top teams are as we expected, but there's a couple of new challenges that have come through that are definitely set for an exciting run towards the finish.
Absolutely so, yeah.
No,
yeah, sorry, go on. Yeah, no.
I was just going to say, well, with the return of Viking Army, actually, they've been away for a couple seasons now, but they've made their comeback this season. I think they're looking really strong for the tail end of the season. I think all of their entire squad from 1 through 5, all of them can frag, all of them have good game sense. Especially one player, obviously, like to point out, obviously, is Az from VA. I think she's been doing a phenomenal job this season, but also Nez, everyone on that team is just phenomenal. I think they're probably the team to watch for the latter end of the season.
And I mean, Cthulhu, unfortunately, we do say goodbye to one of our teams already. Unfortunately, Triare have pulled out of the competition, so they won't be playing any more. Obviously, the scoreboards will be adjusted to accommodate that. But look, let's jump on into it, of course. Let's have a look at the competition, how it works, the format. We'll throw it all up on there for you, of course. Pretty simple stuff. 8 teams coming in here. It's Season 8. The top 4 will progress after 7 weeks of double round robin. Best of ones. Top 4 will play off in those semi-finals, with the winners of both going to the grand finals, the losers of both going into that 3rd, 4th place match. And at the moment, Cthulhu, we'll throw this one over to you. Is there any real doubt that we could see a defense of that title?
I could definitely see the defense happen, but as KT already pointed out, with Viking Army having quite a solid performance overall, there is certainly a good contention in general coming into the play. But look, for what it's worth, I'm keen to see just some good siege, honestly.
Yeah, and there is always excitement to be had here. Look, if nothing else, you do want that potential for some upsets to come through. It makes for quality gameplay at the end of the day, of course. But it's not just for fun. Let's have a look at the prize pool and see what they are playing for. There is a reason that we are here, of course. It's a pretty decent chunk of change. And it means that players are going to be wanting to bring their absolute A game. $3,000 total, $1,500 for first, $1,000 for second, and $500 for third. Fourth will walk away with some R6 credits. So if you make playoffs, you're not walking away empty-handed. But KT, it's a pretty grueling road to be playing. Of course, the Women's League is by no means forgiving.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, especially the format with this season, having to play each team twice in a home and away game. It's double the amount of games that you have to play and prepare for. You might have to strategize a little bit more given how many games you have to play as well, given how many more VODs and stuff that teams can get on you. So it's definitely not easy. I think it's a total 10-week season with a break. So it's definitely a long road, but honestly, obviously, like you said, $3,000 isn't chump change. It's quite a bit of money.
And let's take a look at where we currently stand coming into this week. Of course, the standings as they are. There's been some pretty interesting matches so far, but on the whole, there's no real surprises in terms of the top couple of seedings at the moment. Some random team called Bliss at the top, of course. Then it gets a bit funky, Cthulhu. Viking Army second, like KT was talking about, back after a bit of a hiatus. Big Brain Esports once again sitting top 3. Radical Rebels, a newcomer to the top 4 position. Fury, though, Cthulhu, that's the big one. That's the big talking point. Fury, unfortunately, not having the seasons that we hoped they would.
Yeah, absolutely. Fury definitely on paper looked like a team that could really take the top 4, if not the top 3, really easily. But yeah, this season has been pretty rough for them, as all things went for them. But good to see that for Radical Rebels, things been definitely on the uprise, given that they've been that roster that was just inches away from making that sort of top 4 position, and within this season they finally did manage to push through.
But I mean, KT, you talked about Viking Army coming up and through. Your no personal biases, of course. Do you reckon that there is a chance that the Bliss girls could be in a bit of trouble?
Honestly, like through no bias at all, absolutely. Like, obviously, it's been a rough road for anyone that's been trying to best this roster for about 3 seasons now. Whether we were Bliss, Quacked, or Warriors. But in saying that, I think at the end of the day, like Siege is a game of 50-50s at the best of times. So it's always winnable. It's always losable. I think the gap between teams in particular season by season has gotten smaller and smaller. So I think the danger of us losing a game here and there definitely is growing. So I think this season might be the best season in terms of competitiveness, at least with the top 4, given how close that you guys can see the standings are right now. But I think definitely there is a big chance, even with Big Brain, Radical, or even Fury, or anything like that. Like anything can happen on the day. So yeah, definitely for sure.
And, well, look, enough of looking at the past. Let's look to the future and have a cheeky gaze at our matches for tonight, of course. 8 matches to be played, 2 of them on stream. And we got some pretty good ones from the sounds of things. Up first on the main broadcast, Inferno Gaming taking on the Bench Warmers. Match 2, Radical Rebels taking on Team Bliss. But you look at some of those matches off stream, Cthulhu. Big Brain Esports versus Bliss, definitely going to be an exciting one, I think, to watch. And then, of course, Viking Army versus Radical Rebels. 2 teams currently in the top 4. And, I mean, that could be a bit of a telling point going into those playoffs, you reckon?
Yeah, to quite a fair bit of a degree, the Viking Army versus RDC would be a big one, given that, well, for Viking Army, theoretically, they've somewhat at least keeping themselves safe in terms of tonight. If they lose out just one match, they still should be well and truly in the second place. But for Radical Rebels, this is a huge opportunity to start gaining up back and possibly even be able to yoink away that even 3rd place from BB should anything come through for them. So in terms of that, yeah, for Radical Rebels, this is going to be a huge matchup to get started with, and then to go into a match against Team Bliss in the second round would be a pretty solid run for tonight.
Yeah, most definitely. Won't waste any more time. Let's get on into the first match, of course. Inferno Gaming taking on the Bench Warmers here on the main broadcast. This one is going to be big. I mean, if you're going to try and crack top 4, the start needs to be now. You can't be dawdling anymore. So the push has to be coming with some real intent, of course. KT, Inferno Gaming versus Bench Warmers. 2 teams, I mean, look, historically they've struggled, but there are promising signs coming into this season, of course.
Yeah, I mean, both teams are, I believe, sitting on 2 wins each, if I'm not correct, if I'm not wrong. So I think this will be a really close matchup. Inferno Gaming definitely have been improving week on, week out. Recently, obviously, they beat the Titans over at Fury, so I think that's a big step towards their development this season. That's not to write off Bench Warmers either. I think they've been, from the first week of their games to now, I've definitely seen improvements week in, week out. So it should be really interesting to see.
Let's have a look at the individual players on said teams, though. Up first, it will be Inferno Gaming. Now, Cthulhu, some familiar names having come over from an old organization. Now they've joined up together to create, well, revive, so I'm told, this Inferno Gaming roster. Sporky, Toki, Berry, Cell Shaded T, and Queen AFK. There's some real star power in these rosters and some real mechanical skill to back it up.
Absolutely so. Yeah, look, it's a roster that definitely has quite a fair bit of potential, but it's still very much of a kind of a diamond in the rough for Inferno. They had a few really solid, kind of plays and play days, but unfortunately, it's been kind of more so a question about the consistency that has been a little bit on the betrayal for them. But regardless of that, they have a really solid core lineup. They have a solid subs lineup, plus Coach Tigers as well, the absolute OG of Siege scene. Definitely will have quite a fair bit of knowledge to drop as well.
Their opponents, no slouches by any stretch of the imagination. It's bench warmers coming in this week, looking to try and take down Inferno Gaming, and they themselves have some capable players to boot as well. Frostbite, Core Vice coming in. MZ, who, I mean, look, she's had some star moments. Arctic and Aurea as well. A newer name that I'm less familiar with, but I'd have to assume, given those numbers, potentially a name change from someone. KT, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is, I believe, or this is Aurea's first season in Women's League, as far as I can tell. So to have
so what you're saying,
kills
what
is
you're
pretty incredible.
saying is Alex has copy pasted and not adjusted the KD. That's fine. Look, I think Aurea, I think Aurea will be quite happy with the numbers there. I think she'll take it. She'll take the 602 kills to 383. Look, of course you would, KT. But look, no, like I was saying, break it down for us. What are your thoughts on this roster?
I think this roster's got a good mixture of like new blood and veterans in this team. I think Core Vice, obviously, actually, fun fact, Core Vice was my teammate in the very first season of Women's League, where we were Trinity. So Core Vice is definitely no stranger to the Women's League scene. Neither is Frostbite as well, formerly, I think, known as Meg 101. She's been here for a few seasons now, but obviously with the addition of Aurea, MZ, and Arctic, sort of the newer blood in this team, I think it's a really fantastic blend of veterans versus new bloods. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, it's that being able to mix the veteran talent, the big brains of the competition with the new mechanical skill, of course. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. But Cthulhu, you know what else is interesting? Unfortunately, not for me, but everyone else. It's going to be the map veto, of course. Let's jump on into the map veto and see where we're going to be heading. Unfortunately, I've had a sneak peek, and I'm actually just going to big snooze on this one. Why? Why does the Unstoppable Women's League hate me? Why am I forced to stick with these maps? I know what it is, and you can see all the fun maps are just gone. They're going. At least we lose Oregon. At least we lose Clubhouse. We lose Chalet, which only means Villa. Why?
It can't be.
Why is it me that has to cast Oregon, Clubhouse, and Villa? Give me something fun. Come on. But Cthulhu, it's Villa. Break it down for us. Inferno versus Benchwarmers. How does this one play out for these teams?
Look, I think Villa would actually be, in terms of this very matchup, could be actually quite an entertaining one, purely for the fact that with Villa being that very extensive map as it is, it does provide for a number of opportunities. Obviously, we've seen a few teams, play the basement as that sort of core rotation spot as well. The introductions of Nook have been becoming much more prevalent just in general within Asia Pacific in general. And here for Villa, look, both teams could play very much kind of by the book, just hunker down and just play for the crossfires, or you could go absolutely nuts on their own.
Yeah, and KT is, a bit of a veteran of yourself of the Women's League. This map and the competition itself, I mean, Villa, pretty common pickup, pretty staple of the competition. Do we get to see anything weird and wonderful, or is it just, going to be basic Villa?
I think, sorry to disappoint you guys, but I think you're definitely in for a pretty basic Villa. I think the most spice that you guys might see would be sort of a Nook, like Cthulhu said, a Nook hanging around down below, maybe trying to get a pick for the roamers down below in Mem, in Kitchen, Pantry. But I think for the most part that you guys are definitely will be looking for a very standard Villa, unfortunately.
I'm sorry. Can we just relegate Bliss after the season? I'm done. I'm absolutely done with the nonsense. No boring Villa. I'm sick of Villa. It's so vanilla. Give me some chocolate. Give me some strawberry. Something a little bit interesting.
Goodness.
But I mean, it is what it is. Look, I'm excited to see. Obviously, map bans. You got to take them as they come. But operator bans, that's where things can get a little bit spicy. Cthulhu, that mix and match combo. I suppose if Villa is vanilla, Villa is vanilla ice cream. Operator bans are the sprinkles and nuts on top that change up the flavor and texture of it all. Are we going to see anything crazy, or is it just going to be your basic bans? Do we see Azami let through? Because we know how impactful she can be on this map. And do we get a bit of Sens? Will they be thrown into the mix?
Oh, look, I don't know about Sens, but Azami may be slipped in, possibly, maybe. But bans-wise, yeah, I'm getting a feeling that it may end up being a little bit more towards the basic end of things, something like across the lines of maybe a Thatcher, maybe a Jackal, and then what's usually on the defense, Valkyrie and Mira. Yeah, that would sound about right.
But look, KT, we're about to head into the map. Give us your final thoughts. Inferno Gaming versus Benchwarmers on Villa. How does this go? How does it play out?
I think it will be either way. It will be a very, very close game. I'm hoping for your guys' sake that it goes to a double OT. Hoping for an 8-7, 7-8, something like that. I'm not really too biased as to who takes the match, but I hope it goes the entire distance for you guys.
After that personal insult, we will be looking for new casting talent here for the Unstoppable Women's League. KT, we've enjoyed your stay, but that is just unacceptable. Unacceptable BM targeted at myself and Cthulhu. And it's just not on. I will be speaking with the admins and Alex as well. But look, Cthulhu, I think we're just about ready to jump on into the map. And let's get into it. KT, we'll see you back after the break. You'll be jumping on with me for map 2. So go, finish your dinner. We'll see you back soon. Cthulhu, let's go and get into Villa. The Tuscany countryside. It's picturesque. It's beautiful. Maybe a little bit boring, but it's on the teams to change that, of course. They're the ones that can really spice this up. Going into the operator ban phase, we're about to kick it off. I think, I don't expect anything crazy. I'm thinking Thatcher, Flores, Valkyrie, and potentially that Azam.
Yeah, well, there is certainly possibilities if either one of our predictions will actually come to fruition. Because to me, see, Azami, she's a bit of a coin toss. Because yes, she provides a lot of ability to reshape the site, but with that as well, it's a bit of a kind of a double-edged sword, because you can also cut off a couple of angles and make it a whole lot safer for the attackers to push in. So it definitely does involve quite a fair bit of preparation prior to the matchup as well. And well, one would hope that plenty of prep has been done. So far, I'm good for my preparations, though.
Yeah, well, Jackal, look, not as surprising. I think it was sort of Flores, Jackal were going to be the two interchangeable ones, at least in my mind, for that. Here, though, that's where things get funky. I mean, Valkyrie, Mira, Azami currently in play. Do we see something like the Kaid targeted? There's just so many options. Mira, understandable, going to be taken away. This is where it gets fun. Valkyrie, so impactful on this map in terms of the black eye cameras. Not having lactose intolerance is strange. Bold call. Bold call.
Right. Understandable.
But what is not a bold call is the final ban. It's going to be a Kaid, so Valkyrie and Azami going to be left into play.
Yeah, look, curious how will both of those operators actually play into this, because outing Kaid, it does obviously make things a whole lot easier to make those breaches. Does make them a whole lot more simplistic in terms of getting them sorted and done and dusted. But on the other hand, everything else just kind of ends up getting cranked up to a whole new level. Obviously, now looking at the Inferno Gaming lineup, is leaning a little bit more towards the trap meta, introducing Ella and Capcan, plus Aruni and Mute and Wamai. So it seems kind of like an attempt to cover kind of the general basics plus, you know, that extra sort of passive damage to come in.
Well, jumping on at the first round, the defense looks like it's got a bit of a party here for us, of course. The most notable trio in play, Aruni, Ella, and the Capcan. So I would imagine it's going to be a bit of a horizontal spread. At least that's what the picks are indicating. You're expecting that spread over towards the master bedroom, over towards split. Try and cover some of that horizontal pressure that teams will be bringing. And with that utility, it should be a reasonably hard time for Benchwarmers to actually get onto the site.
Yeah. Progression towards the site could be quite stagnated at some point, but I mean, when you have the Finka on top of all of the operators that BW are actually bringing over, they should be relatively easier, let's call it that, on at least some form of progression. It seems at least, though, the main place of entry is going to be the east side. Very, very aggressive as well, by the looks of it at least, as Frostbite is looking to make an entry into the bathroom straight off the bat with a live drone. So, as it stands, it's down to Toki to hold off this position, and she could get overpowered rather quickly.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Unfortunately, Aurea already in position to shut down that play. Toki baited out by the drones, unfortunately. And it is one of those dangerous prospects of being an offsite player and being aware of where the push is coming from, knowing that there is threat there. It's a 50-50. Do you go for the drone and deny that information, or do you risk giving your life up?
Bomb has been located.
Yeah, look, this is definitely going to be a bit of a difficult one because, yeah, there's a lot of things that need to go into consideration with those sort of holds, but as it stands with a player down, Inferno Gaming will have to make sure that they are holding their positions rather well, and well, Sporky with that solid swing does get a bit of a Frostbite. That's the Finka out of the board as well, and quite a fair bit of that sort of impactful loadout is basically now gone, but there's still quite a fair few frag grenades as well, so swings could certainly work out. Benchwarmers losing out on quite a lot of HP on those kind of swings.
Yeah, dropping Frostbite early on, possibly the worst pick that they could have lost on the side of Benchwarmers that early into the round. I mean, it's your Finka that you rely on going later stages that execute portion of the round. There's a reason people refer to it as a bit of a crutch because of the adrenal surge. But, I mean, it just puts a little bit more work on the shoulders of Benchwarmers. MZ, I think that might have been... No, that was an EDD, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was an EDD. Unfortunately, caught out there, not checking their corners. That's MZ taking a significant chunk of damage. They do have a Nomad in play, and this rotates from Astro Stairs. Could definitely shut down the push.
Yeah. But T at the moment does hold her position pretty well. Sporky could do a lot of damage here on this flank.
We may have lost Cthulhu there.
Oh.
I think we've... no.
I am here.
It's all of us. Okay, so I can't hear him, unfortunately. The Discord is lagging out, but the swing, Arctic in a bit of trouble. And it could all come apart here. The swing, spot, Sporky drops it. 18 seconds left in which to make the play happen. Do they go for the revive or for the diffuser right now? The push to come through. Players holding down the angles. Berry, all she needs to do is swing. Pre-fires are there. Arctic gets to readjust onto the angle, but no. Caught out, punished, and shut down.
Indeed. Quick, clean solution here so far for the defense of Inferno. Certainly having the sort of the ability to hold onto the classroom kind of actually worked out pretty well, all things considered, given that it kind of gave that extra sort of buffer space to really work around, and with the fact that Benchwarmers kind of just decided to go for a bit of a kind of a one-sided push, that sort of allowed Inferno to just gather a majority of their forces just around that one position, really, to work around. So, perfectly executed now, going onto the trophy statuary. Similar lineup again, but I'm not too sure how much will Capcan now work out, but look, I'm still very much curious to see how will Barry be able to utilize him. Whereas on the side of RDC, or not RDC, sorry, I looked at Kovacs, straight away the RDC tags threw me off, but Benchwarmers introducing now a 0.
Yeah, look, I do apologize. My Discord got so excited at Inferno winning the round that it decided to spike up to 5k ping, so I had no idea what was going on.
Very nice.
But we carry on. Berry, a massive round for her there. I mean, you think about it, Embassy getting caught out by the EDD, finding 3 kills on top of that as well. Massive round.
Round, yeah, absolutely. That was quite huge. At the moment, it's a bit of an interesting turnout, really. Yeah, with between Sporky's flank and Berry being able to hold the fort, kind of worked out pretty well. Looking at the lineup of benchwarmers, though, not much of a change has really happened. Still the introduction of the Nomad that unfortunately didn't really do a whole lot with the play, but they didn't really prevent the said flank from happening. But alas, benchwarmers, they're looking to try to change things around a little bit here, maybe in round number 2. Maybe change up just the approach and the speed of it.
To see already Aurea, I mean, she kicked that round off pretty spectacularly with an opening kill onto Toki, who was stuck in towards Trophy. So right now on the split attempt, what more can she find? The opening there, so a little bit more of an aggressive setup from Inferno Gaming. Spots the head, I believe that was Berry crossing towards that Trophy door. Right now already, look, they're getting some good pressure in. Oh, long range shots on the Queen FK, that could have been huge.
Yeah, there's quite a fair bit of damage already dealt to Queen AFK. Not the best kind of setup, given that already quite a fair bit of initial ground given away. But Queen AFK does fire back, gets the better of that Iana as well. So quite a fair bit of utility now gone on the side of just the info gathering. But still, there is a 0. Still a full-on angle directly into the rotation hole, into the Astra, and already the Zofia already has so much ground to really cover, and lands up a perfect shot onto Toki.
Frostbite with that big LMG shuts down Toki. So unfortunately, still one of the earlier frags in the round, looking for more. Unfortunately, can't connect on the follow-up kill towards Classical. But for now, this position could be huge. Sporky, big kill. Frostbite eats the Nitro too. Berry finding engagements of her own over towards the landing. Knows that there's players in the master bedroom. Cell shaded there. Tucked around a corner. Queen AFK does get finished off there. Berry in a bit of trouble too. Just sticking out a bit too far and providing those opportunities for benchwarmers to get chip damage out. Frost in the sight. Sporky with a great swing. MZ looking for a plant attempt. Cell shaded. Dropped by Arctic. Both players coming in from Trophy. And the plant will be good. MZ shut down from a very ambitious swing from Berry. Down to the 1 versus 1. Arctic pings are there for her. Knows where the push is coming from, but it's backed off just a little bit here. Does Berry know whatsoever where this player is? Spots it, but Arctic has the better health bar and will secure the kill. Well done. They take it and equalize.
Absolutely so. Good return to form between Inferno and benchwarmers, as it is starting to, at least at the beginning of the matchup, to look like the impossible close contention, possibly even full round regulation. But yeah, we are going to be going for a quick cheeky break. Well, not break, a rehost for now, as we get things working. But yeah, look, Panda, I mean, so far I'm definitely, I like the second round a whole lot more from benchwarmers, albeit again, it kind of fell into the same unfortunate issue for them, where they just started pushing that one position without really having any sort of plan B of going for the flank play, no presence around the dining/laundry area to push from. And if not for, the sheer fragging power that benchwarmers were able to unleash, things were starting to look a little bit bleak there for themselves.
Yeah, mechanically, it was quite obvious that, Inferno were going to be able to contest. Right now, we're going to throw it to a quick break. We're too early into the match to really have much to break down. So we'll throw it to a quick break. When we come back, we'll jump on into round 3. We'll see you back soon. Bouncing back on into it. The third round kicking off now, of course, Cthulhu. 1-1 the scoreline, but I mean, both of them have been quite heavily contested from Inferno, obviously with the victory in the first and the second one coming down to a 1v1. Absolutely.
So yeah, it's been so far very much back and forth kind of gameplay between Inferno and benchwarmers. As KT in the pre-game desk kind of talked about as well, both teams sitting on 2 wins. Unfortunately for Inferno, though, they have been just 1 point below due to one of the wins being in overtime. But regardless of that, both teams have been, doing their best to push the scoreline, and this one certainly is promising to be one of the closer games, I reckon. But on both ends, I gotta commend both teams to know how to play into their strengths, basically. And with Inferno being able to set up themselves in such a way that they still have quite a fair bit of space buffer to really move around and keep themselves mobile, it definitely kind of plays quite well into the fact that bench warmers, at least for the past 2 rounds, have been kind of going for a bit more of a kind of a one-directional push, which kind of more so means that it's almost like a wall against the wall kind of battle.
Yeah, most definitely. We head back to Split, of course, the Valkyrie and the Frost coming into play here in this round. And you look at it, 3 Nitros as well to be paired with those black eye cams, and that's got to be a little bit rough, in all honesty. Being able to play around that info potential, it could provide a bit of an upset.
Oh yeah, the info gain here could be absolutely nuts, kinda, and I'm very much looking forward to how it could be played out here on the side of Inferno. We've already seen, a few of the Inferno players tend to go for those pre-placed C4s and kind of set up the traps. So, wouldn't be surprised if this time it will be kind of, reinforced with that sort of extra information game. Plus, obviously now kind of switching over from the Ella to the Frost, doubling down on that sort of lethality of the trap gameplay, could be actually a very good shout here for Inferno's play.
Right now, I mean, the Zero already having a pretty big impact in that last round. The Argus cameras providing that info that allowed the 1v1 to go as successfully as it did for bench warmers. This time around, no Rooney, so it's going to be the full reinforcement supported by the mute jammers. Toki not sitting in the middle of the site this time around. The last couple it has cost her life, so we'll be holding things down in Astro for the most.
For Toki, it was a little bit just an unfortunate set of just timings, really, because whilst holding one of the positions, she couldn't really allow herself a whole lot of, space to really move around, and any sort of attempts basically led to that sort of lethal result. This is a bit of an awkward kind of turnout here, because neither of those two players actually know about each other's whereabouts, but AMZ could accidentally run here into Spooky.
Well, unfortunately, speaking of run, Arctic runs right into an EDD. Berry will fall. Sporky, if she can get the Nitro off, but no, it's a kill into MSE in control of the diff. The retrade comes back in, but you're looking at the health already. A bit bleak as Corvice goes down. Toki redeeming herself after an unfortunate couple of rounds not having any impact. She finally finds a big kill.
Indeed she does. With Arctic now tagged up quite low due to that down by the EDD. Things are not looking particularly too good. I say that Warrior does reach a nice headshot for, or rather onto Queen AFK. Goes into another swing. ARX is just too good at the moment, and it's all down to T, really, to do any sort of work.
Got the mag to do it, of course. And there's potential for some late game EDD action. Aurea shut down entirely, looking the wrong way. So now they should have some idea. But the EDD from Berry from the grave takes down Arctic. And we are into the 1v1. Frostbite coming up Astro stairs in a game. Oh no, shaded. Had too many angles to cover and got taken out cleanly from range. All that was needed. That shield as well working against them. What a way to bounce back from the 1v1 potential.
Third round in a row, we do get those 1v1s, and look, I gotta give props to Cell Shaded T. That was well done. Solid effort overall, but yeah, Frostbite just ending up having just that much more, powerful position, and sort of the fact that it was in her sort of. In her hands to dictate where the pace was coming from, where the push was coming from, whereas for T, it was a little bit more so about just trying to find the right angle to hold, and unfortunately just things didn't align there. Now, going into round 4, I am very curious how will Inferno be able to, fight back, because they've already shown that they have at least good knowledge about how to be chaotic about the picks of the Capcan, but with now round 4 coming around, Edgeworm was now fully acknowledging, the threat that Capcan poses, and introducing the IQ. Now, the main question rather, is how long will Arctic be able to, stick around within this round to be able to have the impact and get rid of those Capcan traps?
Yeah, look, I think it warrants it now after that unfortunate round. I mean, you think how much more, well, one-sided it would have been for Benchwarmers if not for the EDDs. The fact that Arctic was taken so low early on and then found one of the few remaining going into the close of the round as well to bring it to the 1 versus 1. I mean, almost trauma-inducing, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
In the way, I mean, this is purely reactionary to those EDDs.
Yeah, gotta find one way or the other. Alternatively, they could have as well brought in Twitch to be a little bit more flexible and having that a little bit more of, I suppose, what's the right way to call it? A little bit more safety in terms of dealing with sort of that utility. But regardless of that, good already riddance of quite a number of the utility that drones have been able to spot plus the IQ. So far so good, but Inferno Gaming are still looking to play that vertical. Sporky could still find an upset if the timing is right.
The one problem I am sort of noticing about this approach is, for the most part, Benchwarmers are coming in from the same direction every single round, regardless of whether it's AVG or Splitzer. That is something that if Inferno obviously read into, they can look to change up and try and pressure a little bit more. But for the most part, it is working successfully. Obviously, the score reflects that.
Absolutely so. It's been so far quite an interesting one, just in general, with just how that sort of dynamic been going all over. But well, Inferno now about to get pressured as the 90 hallways getting taken. A lot more pings starting to come around as well from Benchwarmers. Whilst yes, the one-dimensional sort of push is still a bit of a problem, it's good to see that now, kind of on top of their usual push, it's being kind of reinforced with the drones. Unfortunately, those drones weren't able to really spot the pre-play C4, so kind of rip Aurea, but the breach is still going to come around, and it seems like it might just end up being quite a funnel through a number of the positions, which could be a good and a bad thing as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Sporky getting big information. MZ down. A double for her, and unfortunately none of those adrenal surges having much of an impact so far in the round. Corvice dropped as well by Queen AFK. And the less players on the board, the more losses they suffer, the less effective that this Finker pick is going to be. And this deep into the round with 30 seconds remaining, you're only going to get one, maybe two surges off before it all comes together. And you look at the positioning, Inferno have a great spot to hold up in the defense. Sporky, the first to fall, but at this stage, it's not the end of the world. Pre-fires coming through. They know the positioning, the rotate coming in through to the study balcony as well. This could all come apart all together, and there we go. Inferno, what a round to bounce back. And the fourth, the Aviator defense is unrelenting.
That was a clean hold there from Inferno Gaming. Definitely very much worth the sort of the effort that they've managed to put in. And again, it kind of leaned really well into the way how that push from Benchwarmers was happening. And whilst it's good to see that, Benchwarmers been putting the effort to, better their gameplay, better their performance, adding a whole lot more of that drone game, bringing in the IQ. Ultimately, it didn't solve the big issue that so far they had, which was that sort of one-sidedness to the play. But apart from that, it's been good, and at least in the mechanical department, things been looking a little bit promising there for them. On the side of Inferno, though, yeah, it's been just a story of a really good setup.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Now, though, they re-attempt. This is the third time playing on Split, of course, both times having been won by the Benchwarmers. So, do you maybe wonder if this is potentially a bit of Inferno beating a dead horse here?
Kind of, but kind of not really. But because for Inferno, really, despite the fact that it's been almost a similar scenario each and every round, it still does end up coming in with quite a fair bit of challenge on its own way, because obviously, in those it still comes down to 1v1s. Obviously, some of the Inferno players do end up getting picked off in the early stages, with them giving away almost too much nowadays of the ground to really play around. So I get a feeling that for the time being for Inferno, they just in here to polish their sort of gameplay. Whereas for Benchwarmers, I'm not even too sure. I can't really put a finger on what is the real issue, because yes, one-sidedness that we've been beating on the dead horse already for what now 5 rounds, but there's been also kind of a few issues where they seem coordinated, but they then get picked apart by pre-placed C4s. They seem to have a good, mechanical gameplay, but on a few occasions they just completely flog out to just those jiggle peaks. So it's a bit of a kind of bit of everything, but at the same time it's still been a relatively polished kind of gameplay, if you catch the drift.
Yeah, Perry playing towards the top red stairs, and this evil eye camera feeding the info through. They've already pulled off the IQ. Nitro, ripped, pings coming through. How close is this? How dangerous is this? Sporky just holding it off, looking for the info. I think that might just pop on Emizzy. Berry commits her own. Nitro cell falls back as a bit of a concern. But big kill there from Queen AFK. Drops Aurea. Sporky almost needs to go for the rip. There's no way for her to get it back. Come on, hit the shots. Well, Queen AFK says, you know what, we've got no time for Nitro cells or any of those shenanigans. It's all coming down to gameplay. The re-attempt from the Inferno is working spectacularly, Cthulhu.
Absolutely, yeah. They managed to hold on to this position really, really well, and it certainly shows that the info gathering from those Valkyrie cameras has been doing a great amount of job, just giving a really good heads up to the remainder of the defensive roster as to where the push could be coming from. Emizzy just missing out on the position of Sporky, but as it stands, there's just so many positions that she needs to be very much mindful of.
Yeah, has a great gun for it though. Yeah, you have to agree there. The AK-12, you're a big fan of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Against 4 guns, that's a pretty tall task, especially 2 of them being MP5s. They are magnificent weapons, but no, was going to go for the pre-fire. Unfortunately, Sporky covering the angle from the aviator door, pings through. The info is there, and well, look at that. Inferno Gaming will claim the lead back for themselves.
Very much so. That has been so far a really good comeback to form from Inferno Gaming, given that second and third round have been a little bit rather rough for them, but all things considered, now round 6, certainly looking like this might be that sort of big momentum contention, because for Inferno, they certainly have found that sort of their win conditions, their winning formula, whereas for Benchwarmers, it's been a bit of an odd one, especially the very last one. Yes, they opted out of IQ in hopes of just finding a little bit more fragging power, but with the fact that with them, they have to basically either face check or just sacrifice almost double the amount of drones to just find out the position of just a couple of players. For Inferno, they basically know the whole plan from the get-go the moment Benchwarmers into the building.
That's the one.
Good at least to see that Frostbite is going off with the 5-2 on the Finca as well. So at least you could kind of count in on the LMG and the ARX players to be able to keep on pushing Benchwarmers to closer scorelines.
You say that, but Corvice, unfortunately, fragless at the moment, but is also bringing, well, I would imagine is bringing one of the LMGs. It could be the AK-12, so I might be lying. We'll have to see. Right now, though, Kitchen and Dining, we go to the first floor for the first time this half, as it's just about to end too. But, I mean, Berry and her impact in this game cannot be understated. Not just from the round where she did that much damage with the entry denial devices, but even after the fact and how much hesitation we've seen her cause this Benchwarmers roster.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Berry has been on the roll and certainly shown a great deal of just work that has been put into her own play as well, into her own performance, plus the team play as well. Now looking at the setup, once again, Stoki that is playing for the Roam, plus Sporky on the bit of a disconnected one in terms of that, but looking still to gather at least a good amount of information. And once again, full well, borderline at this point acknowledging that for the most of it, the push is going to be from basically one direction. she gets to basically just stand around the end of the 90 hallway and just be posted up there, full well knowing that nobody's going to push her from the study.
Yeah. And verticality on this bomb site in particular is quite impactful. So being able to deny as much of that or hold it off for as long as possible is going to be absolutely huge. And this camera in and of itself is going to provide so much information. Looking for that nitro cell rip in a moment could be significant in terms of its impact power.
The C4 rip could be quite big, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Sporky, now noticing that her utility is starting to get cleared out, will be a little bit more cautious with Frostbite getting the better of Cell Shade T. That's quite a solid opening, and already pressure coming into the pantry. Finally, we are starting to see a little bit more flexibility, a little bit of a different now approach from Benchwarmers, which should be able to net them a good amount of pressure. Oh, Barry. Wait, Barry's actually all alive. Barry's all good. Never mind.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a visual bug or it just skated past her, but no one's skating past Queen AFK. She's flushed out of her position, but will be able to get away quite comfortably. Sporky from range, threatening Aurea up above. They haven't quite accounted for this vertical presence being threatened from horizontal. Sporky for 2, Queen AFK for 2, and Arctic finds herself alone over towards Astro. What started off as a magnificent little push getting into position has been cut off at the knees. It is 1 alone versus 3 with 25 seconds, no control over the diff. This is gone from absolute comfort to well and truly not quite feeling right in their own skin.
Definitely, yeah. Benchwarmers unfortunately just kind of lost that sort of momentum that they had, and yeah, lost in that sort of seek in that sort of run and a race to find that mojo, that momentum back. Unfortunately, yeah, will set them back quite heavily in points department. 4-2 conclusion in the first half does sort of signal that Inferno Gaming certainly came in a little bit more prepared, at least on the defensive side of Villa. Now, the big test coming around, how will they be able to perform on the defense is a whole completely different question mark here. But for Benchwarmers, now it's their time to attempt to bring the scoreline a little bit closer for themselves.
I mean, statistically, this is kind of on par with what this map reads as globally. It is that little bit more defender-sided, so it does tend to lead more towards the 4-2 halves. The pressure now being on Inferno to make a play and actually close this map out before Benchwarmers can, I mean, realistically threaten overtime. The likelihood of 4-2 halves is quite high at the moment, but I mean, the momentum is there for Inferno.
And defuse as many bombs as they can.
So, Inferno, they currently rolling on a high note for themselves. I mean, you look at Queen AFK, you look at Sporky, both sitting on 6 frags each, and the rest of the team also putting in the effort, putting in that, if not the frags, a whole lot of utility as well. And I mean, the talk about utility kind of comes into this lineup as well. The abundance of the soft breach, the extra ability of this hard breach with the ace as well, and plus the finger, plus the nomad as well. So there's quite a lot of ground being covered utility wise, in a similar way how Benchwarmers attempted to do so, but we've seen already Benchwarmers kind of attempt to go for a bit of a almost, well, apart from the round 6, for a bit more of a kind of a blunt approach, which to a certain degree worked, but yeah, there's still quite a fair bit of work that I would imagine that needs to be put into that.
Yeah, most definitely right now, though. Looks like a similar approach to the map. Corvice, the Benchwarmers, yeah.
It throws you off, yeah.
It's that darn tag, throwing me off again. Some last minute prep and setup coming into play, but Sporky finds Corvice, no longer, well, not of the Radicals tonight, but of the Benchwarmers. And there's the first pick off the board.
Highly unlucky there for Corvice. Trying to find sort of her own stride there, but unfortunately unable to pick up any sort of play for herself. Funnily enough, Frostbite and MZ actually were forced to fall back from the Astro position down towards the kitchen dining spot. But now this opens up the C4 positions rather nicely. Unfortunately, with no info comes, well, the inability to find the frag within this round with the C4. So for Inferno, it's a bit of a quieter sort of run in the round. They opened up a really good position on the top floor. From here on, they're just waiting to rendezvous together, it seems.
Yeah, most definitely. And losing a player early means that there's one less angle able to be covered. And the push from Inferno so far has been overwhelmingly successful. Nade in towards that hunting bolt as well. Yeah, you shoot the nade. Unfortunately, it isn't going to be enough. That mute jammer will be cleared out. Now they can start opening these walls up.
So, ready to rumble. Minute remaining. The flank coming around. Actually pre-aimed. No, but it's a bit of a just unfortunate result here for both teams. MZ able to run away with majority of her HP. Barry did get tagged just a smidge more. With 45 seconds to push. Look, there's certainly hopes and opportunities for both teams to really take here, but with Benchwarmers lacking a player, the funnel in might just be a little bit too dangerous with the kind of the match. Sorry, the numbers overplayed.
MSC taking some further damage, but it's Frostbite next to fall, unfortunately. Taken out by the LMG of Cell Shaded.
Oh.
No, the Frost Mat onto Sporky. Takes her out of the equation. MSC able to eat it up. Aurea finds another one. Unfortunately, we lose the disconnect, but Arctic holding down for the team. 6 seconds remaining. Aurea there for yet another. It's Queen AFK. She's in the site, but has to go for the plant, and there's no time. Pulls off it immediately because there was no other option. And that is very rough.
That is a rough turnout, as majority of that round definitely looked like it was about to go into the hands of Inferno yet again, but just the push on the main stairs fell, the disconnect as well on top of it. It just, things just very quickly, very rapidly de-escalated and not in favor of Inferno at all. But for Benchwarmers, they would absolutely be happy to claim the point for themselves here, to get a little bit closer in terms of the scoreline for themselves. And so for now, well, round 8 is going to be a bit of a pause, as we are going to be waiting for, I believe, Frostbite to rejoin us. But the initial sort of set of picks for the attack of Inferno, I'm actually definitely liking this. I mean, introducing the Ace, the Zephyr, Amaru, Sledge, and IQ would kind of make things a little bit more agile, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, while we're waiting for the reconnect, we might just run a quick ad. So when we come back, we'll jump into round 8, of course, and see whether or not we close this one out quickly or we go all the way to overtime. We'll see you back soon. So, unfortunately, because the issue hasn't been able to be resolved in time, Cthulhu, it will be a 4 versus 5 for Benchwarmers. They will have to keep playing through and hope for the best coming into this matchup. Although, in saying that, you got to remember, this isn't the first time they've played a 4v5, and if I remember correctly, the last time they were able to win.
I believe Queen AFK was on the receiving end as well of that matchup too, when Benchwarmers pulled that off. So, yeah, look, definitely curious what could Benchwarmers really pull off, given that they are on the defense, so things will look a little bit more promising, as it's up to them to basically receive that sort of attack and be able to hold on to their positions pretty well, which they did quite solidly in the previous round. With Cell-Shade T now being all spotted out with the motion tracker, unfortunately, the element of surprise is no longer there, but from Inferno's push, so far it is looking relatively well organized. Quite a fair few flanks are being pushed now, and this could just be just about enough effort to actually split the BW's hold here.
Yeah, definitely could be a bit of a rough defense, already lacking a player, and then having to battle through regardless. And you can see the setup there, Barry, on this possession, on the Astro window, with that G8, and covering Cell Shaded coming up the Astro stairs as well. This is a great little setup.
Absolutely so. right, so far being set up, but still yet to see any sort of big damage to be dealt. And I say that Korva is perfect in elimination here onto Toki. Equalizing now the player count is certainly going to make things a whole lot easier to at least play around in round number 8 with Barry as well, tanking quite a fair bit of damage, a lot of heat coming around. Ori actually gets to finish the player off and as well escape. Barry got fragged out for basically scot-free.
Sporky there with a kill to bring it back to a 3 versus 3, but this has not been completely unscathed. 2 kills. Following it up quite effectively, leaves it down to Embassy with 8 seconds left though. Someone has to get on the defuse. Queen AFK. Embassy finds Cell shaded. Does she know where the defuse is going down? Embassy looking aggressively for the swing, but the cover from Sporky will mean that Inferno Gaming pick up the round. And that could have been absolutely chaotic if they'd somehow lost it.
Yeah, chaotic would be one way to really describe this, but at least in terms of history, it won't really repeat itself. Pause to, I believe, maybe come around, but yeah, with the Frostbite now coming back in, it is looking to be a equal ground, but with 5-3 scoreline, that sort of round differential that was previously achieved by Benchwarmers, that was getting closer and closer, now once again got extended a little bit, so it's a little bit of an unfortunate kind of F in chat moment, but still not over yet. It's still not yet the match point either for Inferno Gaming, so plenty of opportunities for BW to catch up on.
Yep, 5-3, going to Trophy Statuary, looking to double down on the site. I mean, look, there were some good signs in that round from the side of Benchwarmers. Unfortunately, just the numbers at the end was what really bit them. So now that they've got full 5 in the lobby, who knows how this one could play out.
Absolutely. So curious how the full 5-player lineup will really work out here for BW. With Frostbite playing around with Malusi, actually the lineup does start to, make sense now. Introducing with the Malusi charges as well, things could get slowed down rather nicely, although that one in the master bedroom feels rather kind of a bit of a 50-50 because it doesn't look like Benchwarmers are looking to play off the back of that very sad position, so it's more so just to drain a couple seconds, but surely there's better ways to utilize the Malusi Banshee devices.
Well, its effectiveness has yet to be seen. We will have to play the round out, of course, to try and figure out just how efficient it can be. Right now, you look at the utility in play, you look at the setup. Barry once again on this Armaru.
I'm reloading.
I'm intrigued to see what the game plan is. Honestly, I think she needs a bit of rework. I'll be honest. You should be able to target a wall and then Gara hook that position onto the rappel. I reckon that'd be awesome.
That could be cool, yeah, I'll definitely agree with you. That would allow quite a fair bit of flexibility to play around with as well. Cell Shade T is looking to pick up a frag for herself, but at the moment it's a bit of a hunt for the right October. I say that though with Arctic out of the equation. Nobody else left around the dining and kitchen areas. Inferno took this in a very commanding way, but not yet a whole lot of clear of the utility or, for that matter, any sort of breach denial, if there was any, for that matter, but Oria was behind that wall, so a frag grenade at the position of where Wamaya was previously would have been a rather quick play, but unfortunately for Cell Shade T, once again, spotted out by the motion tracker.
That's fine. It's just pressure pushing them off this position so they can start clearing out through Astro. For the most part, they've started this quite well. Arctic being off the board means that there's no real threat of any sort of nitro cell. In fact, they're going to start clearing out some more of that utility from range with the Selma charges. I think, unfortunately, just a little bit low in that angle, but they do have the avenue into the site, hitting the second half of this round. Even Cell Shaded clearing up from below Toki, taking some punishment from Corvice and that MX4 Storm. You can see Inferno Gaming are quite widespread, but it's enough to just draw attention across the map.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So far, it's been pretty good on the whole, at least. Frostbite does get the better of Toki as well. Finally, the jump in by Barry is in play here. 2 Frostbite for the double. This could be big. The flank is actually coming to fruition rather nicely here, and only now is coming the response to that sort of hold in terms of now Barry holding the flank. So it's all down to Queen AFK and Sporky to make that push onto the site.
Still got about 38 seconds. Plus 2 more adrenal surges in play. Those claymores even could be used to great effect. Barry with a big spray. The impact there, but it's a trade. Aurea and Sporky as well trading there. Down to Queen AFK. She has been fragging very, very well this map with the AK-12. It could be the gun needed. Shot connects. 1 Selma remaining. So there's options now, though. Not really much time. Emzy swings. Big kill from her to close the round out. And Benchwarmers hold fast, finally, on this trophy statuary defense.
Finally do get that full sort of showcase of what could have been done if Benchwarmers had the full 5-player team back on the previous round. But regardless of that, we do get to move on. Round number 10, it is a 5-4 scoreline. Certainly, there's still quite a lot of road to cover for both of the teams, as a matter of fact. For Inferno Gaming, they seem to have stuck on a little bit of that sort of a bump, trying to get over that 5th round scoreline to push themselves into the match point. Whereas on the side of Benchwarmers, they rather quickly starting to gain up on their opponents from a 4-2 scoreline into 5-3, now a 5-4, that possibly even looking like it could get overturned into a 5-all at the conclusion of round 10.
That's exactly it. This is how we sort of expected this matchup to go. We did expect it to be quite an even affair. And so far it has been that, on Villa as well, no less. So I mean, the likelihood of overtime, and as much as I hate to say it, I think KT was spot on, likely double OT even to come into play. So far, everything is on par.
Yeah, everything is on par. Everything is part of the script so far, at least, it seems.
Whoa,
but
leaking the script again, because
hey, look,
my God, man.
Look, I didn't leak anything too crucial, so it's fine. Gotta get a few teasers in, at least, for some extra entertainment.
HBO is going to have us, man. You can't be leaking the script. The producers are going to be upset. The writers are going to be out of a job.
Look, I'll be the writer at this point.
Yeah.
I'll do it myself, like Thanos.
Yeah, look. You know, in 3 weeks' time, we'll be hitting the Thanos. Half the teams, unfortunately, will be out of the competition going into playoffs, so maybe you will be.
Well, I suppose we'll have to wait until that day does come around. For the time being, Benchwarmers are yet again to face the onslaught of Inferno Gaming, and now once again bringing that sort of double LMG lineup between Zofia and Afinka. It has been a bit of a interesting sort of timeline, really, because you look at Sporky, you look at Queen AFK, they have had a stellar performance. Whereas the rest of the team so far having a little bit of a quieter turnout. Barry, the person who did go quite huge in the first half, unfortunately so far has seen a little bit of a quieter turnout, which is rather unfortunate turnout. Maybe it's just purely due to the timings of some of the gunfights. Who knows, really, but regardless of that, things didn't particularly work out for her before. Now, Warrior looking to go in for the swing against the Finka. This could be big, but no, just pulls away from the angle at the worst possible time, but still manages to nail the shot onto Celsius 8T.
Big kill there to kick it off. No more LMGE. Aurea still holding Toms quite comfortably at the moment. Still a lot of utility to keep her alive going to the later stages of the round, should there be any sort of nade play coming through. Barry. Kill back onto Corvi, shutting down the alibi. Emzy threatened as well, so it's not like Benchwarmers are now getting out of this scot-free.
Oh no, not at all. It's still supposed to be a very close matchup. As long as Aurea is able to hold on to her position for a little bit longer, this could be big, but a lot of distraction coming around. The tunnel vision as well could be big. The push coming around, but right now it's a little bit of a wider turnout, but the magnets are going to start going to work.
Inferno in a position to take match point here. Queen of K aggressively swinging towards Toms. Aurea, she knows she's in trouble. Has another magnet, will chuck it down. That shield in play. Emzy taking Queen AFK, but Sporky walking her way up. She's had a magnificent game for herself so far. Got to go for that aggressive swing onto the bar, but Emzy, another in the pocket for her. Big shots on from Barry to bring back the 2 vs 2. Adrenal Surge will come in. Emzy spotted, but it's a triple for her instead. Barry now forced to clutch up in the 1 vs 2. Spots Emzy, holds down Mouse 1, finds the kill. It's onto Arctic. 8 seconds remaining. Clock is all that needs to be played. The pre-fire is into the vault. Position is going to give it away, but Arctic able to clutch it up there. And what a hold from Benchwarmers, not giving into the pressure of Inferno and Cthulhu. It's all tied up.
All tied up indeed, Panda. Just like how we expected at this point, it seems. 5-5. What a turnout so far it's been. Benchwarmers certainly from having a rather just an unfortunate, is probably the only way to really describe the first half, where it's just the attack just couldn't really go their way in any shape or form. Now moving on to the defense, certainly looking much more comfortable going into all of this. Dining and Kitchen is going to be the next choice though for their hold. Now introducing Frost yet again for Frostbite. Curious how will that pick really work out, because there's a number of positions that the Frost could really lock down, and given the general history of how this match worked out, those Frost mats could actually work out.
Attackers need to locate.
Yeah, look, we try not to talk about Frost mats here in ANZ, given
Yeah,
what has already
it's a dark day
transpired
already.
today. It's a dark moment in ANZ Siege history, but it is what it is. You move on. I mean, the Frost to me indicates maybe a little bit of a contest upstairs, of course, looking to try and hold down that master bedroom walk-in closet position. But I mean, we've seen some very creative setups with these Frost mats already, so I'm anticipating maybe some more of that creativity.
10 seconds left before
Yeah,
insertion.
creativity could be important here. It will be important. Just generally play those positions in a similar way. How with Capcan traps, the more kind of creative or the more kind of odd some of the placements are, the more effective those utility bits will be. So for Frostbite, she could certainly shut things down. I'm not too sure what were those shots for Toki, but regardless of that, we won't speak about that for now.
Flexing on the brickwork.
Yeah, true.
You got to show your environment who is boss, and unfortunately, the environment is a big Tuscan thing.
Well, for now, round 11, still proving a whole lot of opportunities. Sporky just sharp this game, pushing Inferno as much as she can possibly do. But with Kovai's fallen, there's an early clear out, perfect lineup, good amount of information as well being gained off the back of the drones, and well, netting herself a 15th frag. Certainly does push the scoreline rather nicely towards possibly the match point for Inferno Gaming, but I say that with Barry eliminated, things might get a little bit rough.
Arctic playing from below Barry. Yeah, respect where respect is due. Frostbite on the lurk down in the basement, of course, catching her off guard and unawares. Arctic doing much the same there with Toki. Unfortunate loss of the sledge does mean that vertical threat might be a little bit of a harder task right now. I mean, Sporky might be the difference maker in this matchup, given how much impact she's already had, given her ability and how sharp she's playing. She could definitely bring this round home.
It's a bit tense really here, with T looking to find that sort of an opening or yet another avenue for the push. Inferno Gaming certainly are trying to push that sort of the idea of a multiple angle push to come around for them, but that sort of implies that they will have to be very clinical and very sharp on their swings, on their pushes. It will mean that it will be ultimately those 1vx's over and over again, which doesn't usually bode too well, but right now the swing from Mute could be rather deadly here. Arctic could be the one to shut down a lot of momentum.
Sporky deep in the Memorial now, looking to contest over the side. Oh, what a shot! A massive head. Arctic ripped apart. And Sporky currently on for the ace right now. Sight control should be theirs. There's hesitation, though. The Magnet picked up. Frostbite towards Pantry and one over towards that China entrance. And Aurea looking for the crossfire. Spots the door, but no. Sporky's on for the fourth. One more, and it's the ace to boot. Frostbite, an own quantity. Unfortunately not, but cell shaded there for the trade. So even losing Sporky after a massively impressive 4K, the team still takes it.
Yeah, Inferno finally do push themselves onto the match point. And this very round will be one of the more important ones. We'll be deciding whether we go into the OT or whether it will be all wrapping up at a regulation point, at which, well, if Inferno do end up winning out this very round, that means a 3-pointer for them. And well, moving on further on the leaderboard. Actually, let me quickly have a squeeze. It will, well, if they do end up scoring the win here, they will be overtaking Benchwarmers, but unfortunately, just not enough to start contesting with Fury just yet. Only 2 points behind them would mean that, well, that sort of 5th place would be not too far
Attackers need
from
to
that
locate and
contention.
defuse bombs.
Oh dear. Well, look, this could be all over if Inferno pick it up. Otherwise, we go into overtime. Trophy and statuary, the bomb side of choice last time we were here, did not quite go the way that Inferno would have wanted. But Cthulhu, I mean, the biggest talking point, of course, Sporky. The K in the name threw me off there. 3 kills away from the 20 bomb.
Yeah, Sporky had a really solid matchup today, despite some of the unfortunate results at the sort of mid-game for Inferno Gaming. But yeah, she absolutely single-handedly was able to turn over the sort of the momentum of the round into her team's favor. So massive kudos to her for the effort. And can't really, miscredit kind of the rest of the team as well. Queen AFK has been putting in the effort. The rest of the team of Cellshade, T, Berry, and Toki as well. But it's certainly kind of been a good sort of matchup for her, and with the ability to swing so many rounds, certainly some good prospects for her later down the line.
My God. The tension well and truly rising coming up here into the 12th round. Sporky already dead, deep inside the dining room, looking to push on and start that clear. I mean, an early hold of Astro. Oh my God, could set this up, and you look at it already. Frostbite down below in that living room position. An early pick here onto her could blow this round wide open.
Yeah. For Frostbite, she could have a huge leverage over this very round, but at the moment, a little bit of an unfortunate surprise there for Aurea, as it quite spooks her as well. But thankfully for her, Inferno actually decided to completely back away from that spot, more so just to kind of force off, passively at least, that sort of position. But once again, Inferno this time are looking to just flock around, sort of just different angles around the master bedroom plus the bathroom. With Berry holding that sort of a head height sort of position by the astral window, she could have a good cutoff. But again, it's been a bit of just an unfortunate turnout for herself in terms of just the mechanical performance.
Berry, this position tenuous. If she could find a pick here on the cross, would be absolutely huge. We're hitting that final minute, and the biggest problem here, I think, for Inferno is attack. Sporky, an 18th kill, Arctic down. The biggest problem, like I was saying, for them has been timing. If they get caught out on the timing, this could definitely go horrendously wrong, but the push needs to come now.
Yeah, frag grenades might just come around. Corvi's already tagged up to all hell. Midjammer should be allowing a few more bits of information to start flowing in. The drones need to be very clinical, but it seems like it's time for the actual face checking to come around. In comes the swing, and Sporky tagged up to all hell, but so is Corvi's. Decides to go hunting actually for the alibi. Does nail the frag. 4 versus 3 is coming around, but with 24 seconds remaining, now the time has come. The push needs to happen. The swing is good. No, not in favor of Sporky though. Amy Z and Benchwarmers are about to push this onto the overtime, Panda.
Frostbite one more, and it's going to be OT locked in. Queen AFK can't do it. But Cthulhu, I think, the more exciting storyline here, Sporky, set, primed, and ready to get her 20 bomb.
Yeah, the 20 bomb could be big here. Good record as well to really hold on to. But yeah, look, for Benchwarmers, this is a good time. Finally being able to keep on bringing this back certainly does put a whole lot of promise. Now we are going into the overtime of best of 3 rounds, so It's now or never, basically, for both of these teams. Inferno to go back onto the attack. Spooky already, well, basically locking in the thinking now. In comes the bit of a question mark for the next matchup that if we would end up getting to cast Inferno later down the line, and the remainder 2 play days. If the matchup happens, will the Thinker be banned? Because so far Spooky has been absolutely ballistic on that operator.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Well, into it, overtime underway, but the fact that Benchwarmers get 2 defenses could seal the deal. Both teams having a far more successful defensive half. But, I mean, look, anything's possible here. We know that much for sure.
Yeah, quite literally everything could really happen here. We've seen quite a rather number of chaotic rounds happen here between Inferno and Benchwarmers, and for all the good and the bad reasons here. But actually, it may be a bit of an odd Frost placement, but I actually reckon this could work out here.
Attackers' objective is to defuse the bomb.
Yeah. And well, we got 3 rounds here to play, Cthulhu, and the truth of the matter is 6 kills. Separates Sporky from tying that kill record. 7 separates her from setting a new one. And the possibilities are there with the way that she's been playing. I mean, what, we're 12 rounds in, she's averaging 1.5 kills per round. There's possibility. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
Rip the dream. But yeah, look, Panda, that was a quick and abrupt kind of way to shut down Spooky, and by Frostbite nonetheless. A player who, in her own kind of run, currently running 15-7 as well, a very formidable scoreline. So far, that's a huge win for Benchwarmers, shutting down that big performer.
Taki looking to get towards top Astro. That was a frost mat, Taki. Yeah, okay. I was going to say, if that was left in play, that could have been a truly chaotic mistake to be making shots through the floor. I believe that was from Frostbite, yeah, with the secondary shotgun. Gee, having a standout game here and showing some real initiative in terms of contesting the players at the moment.
Being able to keep on holding on to quite a number of spots has been great so far. Kovai's opting to just put a few kind of warning shots before falling back. Completely decides to actually abandon 90 completely without even wanting to really hold on to any of the spots, which does feel rather almost counterintuitive. But regardless of that, I'm still curious if that's actually going to help in any shape or form, because Inferno do basically get to take the 90 basically scot-free, but how far can they progress from there on? Now that's a whole different question, it seems.
Yeah, that's the one.
Coming around to try to clear out this utility, but finally it's okay after the second Ash Breach charge does get the better of that, so that does open up the opportunity for the Breach.
Is that what I think it is? No, never mind. I got baited. I thought it was a glitched wall, but it was the hole in the floor. I thought it was metal. I'm tired. It's 10:30 in the evening. Look, it is what it is. It is what it is. You move forward. Taki, big damage taken, courtesy of Arctic with that MP5. Taki finds the fadeaway onto M. Is he looking to regress? Arctic gets the better of Taki in the second attempt. Queen AFK on the zombie door. Has the opening to push on, and pre-fires shut down by Corvice from range. A second, not quite there, but the health low enough that the deterrent comes through. Cell shaded the last alive as Barry falls. Plant going down, has to pull off, and well, Cthulhu, would you look at that? Benchwarmers have the lead here in overtime.
Louise, yeah, look, this is quite a hefty shutdown of Inferno's play, and I mean, it is quite funny, actually. Well, funny in sort of a way that we see Inferno get really, really aggressive. But that aggression is always being channeled by one player, that is Spooky, on the attack. And without her, it seemed like it was such a huge stall out for Inferno, which ultimately, unfortunately, resulted in their own kind of demise and unfortunate loss in that round. But Curious, say Sporky on some of those days just has a bit of a quiet game. Who's next kind of on the to step up to the challenge? Because Inferno so far basically based their momentum off the back of just how Sporky is feeling.
Attackers need to locate.
So basically what you're saying is not funny, haha, but funny, oh yeah, not bad. It's exactly what we're seeing. I mean, it's impressive stuff out of the benchwarmers. They are hitting some clean shots. They are absolutely punishing Inferno Gaming, who, I mean, let's be honest, Sporky is the one putting in the majority of the league. Not to say the rest of the team isn't there, but when you lose Sporky, it shows just how significant her absence is.
So, quite a stark contrast as well when such thing happens. But for the time being, it's not over yet. We could still see a full send on overtime. Inferno could still very much come back from the round deficit.
Locate and defuse.
Whereas for Benchwarmers, last time they've pushed this very position, east side push with just very much of a one-dimensional pressure and running subsequently into a number of the Capcan traps. But this time they're looking to actually completely circumvent it. This time it's a steady push and a much more flexible, a much more agile, it seems, way and approach to the problem. But now comes the question of how well will Inferno be able to rotate a number of their utility, given that Berry just dedicated quite a fair few Capcan traps towards the northern end of the map.
Yeah, most definitely. Frostbite on the study balcony, looking to push in, get control of study. Spots the frost. Matt player goes to swing on the drone. Could have been a big kill, but unfortunately a missed opportunity is all it ends up being. Pop nade on towards that aviator door, picked up by the magnet. So they know that there is presence right here and an immediate threat to boot. But you look at it, Inferno Gaming have given up so much ground so quickly here.
Yeah. This is so far looking rather dangerous. It's well, I say calm before the storm, but see a number of the positions are about to get swarmed pretty well. Sporky back again on that Valkyrie roam, and Queen AFK just unable to land any sort of big damage onto Frostbite to deny that sort of continuous reswing. And with damage permanence being completely negated currently, or rather courtesy of Finker, yeah, things will get a little bit more rough for the mute player.
I'm not saying KT is a genius. I'd never openly admit that on a broadcast, but we are getting dangerously close to the double OT coming through to play. Berry from the Hunting Bolt found it first. Aurea to fall. Still looking to hold this position. Honestly, if they just hold their angles, it could be all that they really need. Frostbite popping that shield on the game's door. But Sporky below, I mean, the late round flank from her could be colossal. Berry with another Frostbite to fall, and Arctic taking big damage. Queen AFK on the ground. It may not even be a necessity to get her back up. Nitro pop from Sporky. She's trying to find that angle in to try and contest. This is getting dangerous.
Absolutely so. This is looking rather dire. MEZ going in for the plant. This time shouldn't really be shut down, but I say that a lot of damage being dealt. The plant has gone down, but the shots are there. Perfect play from Sporky, and slowly but surely being picked away, but I say that 3 versus 2. Make it 2 versus 2 technically as Queen AFK is down. Make it 1 versus 2. And yeah, look, Benchwarmers might just be able to push this. I say that those cell-shaded T gets a little bit swarmed around with just the positions that she has to hold.
AFK bleeding out, Arctic holding that position. If Cell Shaded jumps on the diffuser right now, this could be all over, but no, I think this roam may have cost her here. She needs to get back to it. She just might scrape in through if she holds this down, Cthulhu. She's going to have to stick it. She's going to... No, she pulled off. If she'd stuck it there, it would have been around, but no, unfortunately, doubting herself, and Benchwarmers will take the map. Villa goes their way, 8-7, just as KT called it.
Well. We did get full set of rounds, but almost full set of rounds. But yeah, an 8-6, look, a very solid scoreline that we got to see here, and shout out to Benchwarmers for being able to push this at the end of it all. 15-8 for Frostbite. For Sporky, though, she did end up pushing that 20 bomb for herself at least. Congratulations to Benchwarmers.
Sorry, I was wrong. KT was wrong. We'll take that back. 8-6 didn't go full double overtime, so that's all that really matters. I'm happy to be wrong there. But right now, it's heartbreak for Inferno. They were right there, primed and ready. Sporky even got a 20 bomb, but all for naught, unfortunately. So we will be looking to figure out where the rest of the maps have gone. Of course, that info is important. We want to know how the rest of the standings are going. Hopefully KT is ready. We're just waiting. She sounds like she's not. Absolute rookie mistake being made right now by the newcomer to the desk, Cthulhu.
Yeah, look, a little bit of a unfortunate result, but look, first time we do end up getting that sort of a tricast, so look, understandably so. Occasionally rookie mistakes have to be made to get the learning process, but I believe KT might just be back with us.
Well, look, here she is back after her break. KT, 8-6, so you were one round off. You weren't right. We leave it at that. But, I mean, Benchwarmers looked like they were playing from the back foot, and all of a sudden they turn the afterburners on and pick up the map.
Yeah, that was incredible to watch. I know you guys were doubted my ability there to predict a double OT game, but I think I did pretty well.
Technically you were still wrong.
Yeah, you know what? I was wrong there, but that was definitely a barn burner there. I think because Benchwarmers started off a little bit shaky. I think at times. Inferno definitely got some good early rounds, but really impressed with how Benchwarmers played their defenses after they got into the defensive end, and especially their OT defense. I think they played that really, really well. I think that last round as well, coming down to that 1v1, I think if Cellshade mayhaps stuck the defuse, she may have just gotten it. I'm not too sure, but in saying that, I think it was a great game to watch, certainly.
Yeah, I don't think the angle was there, so I think you are right,
exactly.
KT. Unfortunately,
it's just
not enough confidence to stick it out. But Cthulhu, I mean, if nothing else, it is a story of resilience. Absolute resilience from the Benchwarmers. Inferno Gaming. Look, they struggled to close it out, and it was an unfortunate loss at the end.
Absolutely, yeah. But I definitely still enjoyed, watching both these teams duke it all out. There's been certainly a good set of adaptations coming around mid-match, but yeah, unfortunately for Inferno, things just didn't align at the end of the day. And yeah, look, at least they can come out of this matchup with still, I believe, a point to their name. So not the best, not the worst kind of situation for themselves.
Well, right now we are going to throw. I've just been shown the map, Vito, and I am less than impressed right now. So we are going to throw it to a break because I need to go and scream into a pillow. I'm going to have a conniption. We'll see you guys back soon. Coming back from the break, and we look to jump into our final match of the day. And Cthulhu, this one should be a bit of a barn burner. Realistically, this is going to be Radical Rebels map. We already know that for sure. But give us your thoughts, your breakdown on how this one will play out.
Honestly, I'm actually quite keen to see how will Radical Rebels actually be able to play it out, purely for the fact against Team Bliss. Look, it still may be a little bit of a kind of a David versus Goliath kind of thing, but with the way how RDC have been, conducting themselves, the way how they've held on for quite a number of games, I reckon they might just be able to, respond with a bit of a kind of a battling fire with fire, but honestly, just bringing in a little bit more of that aggressive gameplay against Bliss could certainly help. Whereas on the side of Team Bliss, theoretically, this should be just yet another day in the office kind of thing.
Well, look, we've got someone on the desk here who obviously has a bit of a deeper understanding into our teams today. Obviously, KT, knowing more about this Radical Rebels roster than either of us.
Oh, yeah.
They've got some very, very capable players there for them. They do have the ability to show up on game day. I mean, is there any real, way to upset what they bring to the table day in, day out?
No, I think this is a very capable roster. A lot of these core Radical Rebels roster players are from the previous season that really gave old Warriors a run for their money, and they're definitely very very scary. And with the addition of I believe Jesse Knox and Angry and Weasel, they've only grown this season.
And of course, their opponents, look, some rando team that have rocked up
I don't
today.
know.
I don't know. Bless. I don't think I've ever heard of them. They just
Mm-mm.
some obviously some weirdos that have just come into play. Some weirdo named KT is a sub for the roster as well. I don't know. Cthulhu, Aussie Princess, Soy, Cass, Time for Pie. You got Beans Mons in the sub position and Sav there as well, of course. One of the most dominant teams in the competition. Fired will do them justice. They are an absolute powerhouse roster. They haven't really been threatened this season. I mean, is there any way of stopping the Bliss Pain Train?
Well,
look,
no,
there
no.
may be a few upset potentials, but nothing too regular. Let's call it that. But for Team Bliss, yeah, look, it's a roster that's stacked with absolute veterans of the scene, and for all the valid reasons, they have been already in the game for quite a while, and they have been playing together for quite a fair few times too. So look, I'm certainly certain here they will have a really solid start here. It is up to RDC to be able to kind of, I suppose, stem the initial bleed in terms of the round.
Yeah, look, I think that's the case. And as we get into the map video, I'm overwhelmingly disappointed with all of you. More KT than anyone else involved in our matches tonight. How? How could you let this happen after everything I've been saying? We go to Oregon. This is your fault, KT.
If you look at the map videos real quick, I just want to say that I tried to leave Theme, I tried to leave Sky, I tried to leave Border up. It just wasn't meant to be.
Oh.
It was
it's
your
radical-
choice. We could have
I
had
think-
Chalet.
Shut. No. We're trying to perfect our Oregon here. So I think unfortunately you're just gonna have to deal with it.
I mean, how many times do you have to play it before it's perfected? I mean,
It's
the
never good
entire
enough.
season. Yeah, look, it is what it is.
Look,
Cthulhu,
Panda, real quick,
yeah.
before you continue, I think the only response that majority of the teams will really have for you is just L plus ratio at this point.
Oh, I'll take that.
Yeah, well, I do have a response as well. L plus did not ask. Get off my timeline. Get out of my server. It is what it is. But KT, you understand this team better than anyone. You said you're trying to perfect the Oregon. How confident is the team that they have perfected this Oregon?
On Oregon, I think we're pretty strong in it. I think most of us are really comfortable on Oregon. There's a few of us that don't really like the map. There'll be fans of Blue Panda, for example. They know all too well how boring and linear
Are
Oregon
you
is.
saying that to be a fan of Blue Panda, you just automatically have to hate Oregon?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Pigeonholing the
Yeah.
entire fan base into
Exactly.
Oregon haters.
Exactly. But I think we're very confident in Oregon. Oregon's one of our strongest maps, but like I said, no map's ever perfect. None of our maps are ever perfect. So we're just trying to get as much practice in as possible. We're trying to get as much practice against women's league teams as possible. So we're just out here to see how we can do tonight.
And if we had to have a guess, can we show what we're all wearing here on stream? The team most likely to lose
Yeah, there you
tonight
go.
is there we
Yeah,
go.
there
Cool.
you go. Team Bliss, baby.
Team most likely to lose from KT's own mouth is Bliss. But Cthulhu, we're going to send you off for a bit of a nap. You can have a bit of a break. KT and I will take this one. Let's get on into the map, KT, and have a look at Oregon Cthulhu. It's going to be different without you. But KT, getting into the map, getting into the operator bands, getting into all of the nitty-gritty of Oregon. Do you reckon, is there any chance that your girls, Bliss, are threatened at all?
To be honest, 100%. In the previous game in the round, they honestly they nearly got beaten by BB there. So I think it's a really good wake up call for this game going into it. But I think Radical Rebels are very experienced in Oregon as well. It's one of their most played maps over the last couple of seasons. So I think it'll be a very, very good game.
Well, operator bands to come through, of course. Radical Rebel starting out on the defense, which I mean, do you think that favors them at all? I mean, most teams obviously feeling quite comfortable in the defense on Oregon at the moment.
I think Siege as a game, that's all about momentum at the end of the day. So I think it's important that you start off positively. And obviously, Oregon, even though I believe it's a 50-50, if not slightly attacker favored in Pro League. But
Actually,
is it?
Actually, it's
Okay.
gone back defender sided.
Oh my goodness.
There you go.
You've gotten me beat there. But I think at the end of the day, especially in Women's League, Oregon is still quite defender-sided, so it's very important for Radical Rebels to start off strongly on defense on Oregon. If not, obviously Bliss have a good chance of just running away with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, so far we are business as usual. Thatcher and Flores out of the equation, kind of as you would expect at the moment in the current meta. Valkyrie as well. I mean, honestly, we're hitting all the meta bans so far. All we need to round this out is Valkyrie.
Oh, I think
No,
right
sorry,
now,
no, Valkyrie Mirror. My God,
a mirror a mirror arcade. Something like a Zami would be spicy, but I don't think we're probably going down that route. I think it'll be a mirror at the end of the day, maybe a Cade and mirror. There you go, you called it.
Yeah, we are 4 for 4 on the early 2021 ban meta so far going into Oregon. Actually, that's not a lie. Flores wasn't out early 2021. So, I mean, look, nothing crazy out of the ordinary, nothing too wild. From the sounds of it, one of the girls on Bliss is already DC'd, so we're keeping it real. We're keeping it flowing. Unfortunately, not flowing. Not as comfortably as we would have liked, but, I mean, if you had to call it, Katie, what's the scoreline you're predicting?
Oh, I don't think that should be a question that I should answer personally. I think I have a bit too much bias with that. I think that should be an answer that I'm interested in seeing you answer.
It's quite obviously going to be a 7-2 to Radical Rebels.
Okay.
That's my call.
I'll remember that.
No, honestly, I think even if Bliss are threatened, I think that would be a little bit concerning given, the trajectory they're on, the success that they've found recently. It's not because I'm wearing the hoodie. It's because of historic results. Yes, it is a comfy hoodie, but that's a different matter entirely. But, I mean, realistically, Bliss are the favourites to take first seed going into playoffs. They are the favourites to win the whole competition, again, because of historic data, the way that they've played this game successfully for the last, this core roster for the last couple of years now has been a very scary one.
Yeah, I think the best part of the Bliss roster, like speaking from, even if I was looking from the outside in, is the consistency of the players. Especially with Women's League rosters, there tends to be a lot of movement during the off-season, season to season. Most teams would always have 1 to 2 players, maybe the whole entire roster refresh, but I think this roster's been together for the most part since the Quack season. So that's been 3 seasons ago now. So I think the consistency and us being good friends outside of the game really helps gel that entire team together. That really helps in terms of the mental in game as well. So I think even if we take away all the mechanical skill or the game sense, at the end of the day, the consistency is what really elevates a good team to a great team, I think, in Women's League.
Yeah, I mean, consistency on top of, potency. You just have to look at, match to match so far this season and, how deadly the girls in Bliss have looked. There's a reason they're top of the table. There's a reason they're completely undefeated this season. The question obviously being for everyone at the moment, is there actually anyone that can conceivably threaten them?
I think personally, the biggest threat that we've encountered so far is Big Brain. Obviously, we did just beat them 7-4, I believe, when I watched, but that was the 2 games that we've already played them on, those were very, very close maps. So I think at the end of the day, Big Brain is probably who I look to, at least, as the overall the best team that could topple us. But I think VA have a really good chance as well, them being second on the leaderboard. And even Radical Rebels, obviously, the element of surprise that they play by is pretty incredible sometimes. So I think right now I would say BB, but Viking Army and Radical Rebels follow really, really closely.
Yeah, look, it is how it stands on the leaderboard, so it is understandable that we find ourselves in those positions. Look, honestly, that is the big question. You'd have more experience about this. As a player, this sort of hiccups, I suppose, delay, is there either team that potentially, you know, benefits from having this early stall out even before the first round?
Not really. I think at the beginning both teams are fairly like good within the mental states. I think honestly the more delays, I think maybe it can get into your head sometimes about how you're going to perform, especially if it's a big game and you're nervous beforehand, which I know sometimes can happen with semi-final, grand final games. But I think for a round robin, I think both teams are trying to have a bit of fun this week, so I think it'll be okay. I think when we get back into it, it'll just be straight back to business.
Well, it's taken a little bit longer than we thought, so we're going to throw it to a quick break. When we come back, we'll run the ads, and then we'll jump back into the game, of course. See you back soon. Never mind. Of course, as I go to call it, we start the game. KT, let's just get into it.
Yeah.
Let's get the map underway, throwing it into Oregon. This... My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. Villa into Oregon, and then it finally happens. Look, let's get into it, KT. Round one, Meeting Hall Kitchen to start off the defense.
That is interesting because, as you probably know, mining kitchen sometimes is mostly the tertiary size for most Oregon defenses. But I think the way RDC want to start this off is with the element of surprise, which is the best way that they always play with. So I think this has the real potential to trip Bliss up here with their preparations on the attack.
Castle where Mike, Cade, and Mute, plus that Jaeger, so there's a lot of utility burn, plus a lot of breach denial coming into play. Obviously, the Maverick there is a bit of a counter, but I mean, Meeting Hall Kitchen, not a site that you quite often utilize that breach other than the stage wall, of course. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bliss look to approach it.
Yeah, without giving away too much about how we like to approach it usually, but I think most teams do tend to go for a big tower heavy take, given that if you go through a small tower take, the kitchen hatch would normally be open, and a lot of people play above from there, so taking just a small tower approach wouldn't really work. But with a big tower take, you get the attic breach open, you make sure no one's above the hatch, then you go for something like a meeting breach open, and then you go for a plant by meeting stage. I think for the most part, meeting is fairly simple in terms of how you want to take it, the steps by step, but I think with Bliss, I think they're just starting to realize what side they've actually gone to, and with Aussie switching from Habana to Habana, a very impactful switch. I think the Bliss will be approaching it from a big tower perspective for this one, definitely.
Yeah, most likely, one would imagine. They look to get on into it. Bliss wasting absolutely no time. They want to clear T3. They want to get in and above as quickly as possible. Yeah, look, it's just understanding exactly what they need to do to win, and they're getting straight to it.
Yeah. Oh, so it takes a lot of damage straight off the bat from Game's window. I'm not sure, that could be a potential spawn peak, I believe. But So is very cautious as she approaches that again, actually. Shooting down the entirety of the window, maybe for a nade? No, just going back to scare the Jaeger off. I hope that Bliss know that it is a meeting hold, a meeting site, sorry, and not a upstairs hold, because that would be very disastrous. I think right now they're making good time for it, Blue Panel. 2 minutes in. They've got...
Not to mention that drone economy as well, getting the info game going. Yeah. Looking, I mean, the fact that these drones are as deep into the site as they are, and they're only just starting to clear them out now, is pretty impactful. Time for Pi, also holding that long angle towards the kitchen door. This could get quite dicey for the Radical Rebels if they aren't prepared.
Yeah, with more than still half the round to go, Bliss have already taken full big tower control, T1, T2, T1, T0, and saying that, Sav immediately gets the entry frag onto Jesse Knox, and I believe that's time for Pi. I believe they're flooding into kitchen straight away off a live drone here. Oh my...
Yeah, they just push it straight in. Pi will go down. Unfortunately, angry with the cover there into security. Cass on the plant. Pre-fire is not going to be successful, unfortunately. So Radical Rebels will now have to play in the post-plant in the 4 versus 4. Angry looking through the rotate. Sev covering that angle, looking for more, but Weasel good for the headshot. Unfortunately, the cost of a significant portion of a health. Soy finds one. Aussie for yet another, and Meeps dropping the hatch in the meeting. Unfortunately, that's not the position with Aussie covering as well. Bliss, what a round one.
I think that was really, really great drone economy and droning, like what you said earlier in the round, because once they saw that Kitchen was basically entirely free, Time for Pi and Sav on the Zo and Finka immediately followed in that drone, and they've got a plant down very, very quickly before that Radical Rebels actually had any time to react to that. So I think that was a brilliant play. The IGL on Bliss did a great job on calling that push, but I think that's sort of goes to show the weaknesses of a meeting defense, because you have to spread out so far out throughout the map for a meeting to actually hold a meeting defense that you leave the entire side vulnerable at times.
That's exactly it. And they head up to dorms next. So obviously the gamble on the tertiary site not working whatsoever. So here they go to something a little bit more traditional. In terms of the defensive setup, it's about as cookie cutter as you can get at the moment in terms of the current meta. So yeah, look, understandable pivot there from the team.
Yeah, I think meeting kitchens, it's something that you start off with maybe, but I think it's very smart of Radical Rebels to not be stubborn and try to stick that side out, because there were obviously glaring weaknesses within their defense that Bliss successfully exploited. So I think going with something more traditional with Kid Storm's defense is definitely a lot better, but here we are seeing Jesse go for a spawn peek, but nothing doing there. Time for Pi running very vigorously straight up to T2. Yep, they do have a pre-play straight. And Meeps goes for a spawn peek jump out, I believe. Oh. No, I think she just peeked out of bottom white. No. Oh my goodness. Either way, Soya off the board. That's your soft breach gone. That's your 2 nades gone. I think that's a very, very big loss. And Meeps got away with full HP. It's not looking good for Bliss to start off the round.
Like if I had to hazard a guess as to where it was, I would say probably the classroom window
classroom.
from the looks of things. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's one of those telegraph positions for an attacking team and punished for it, losing it. I mean, it's not the end of the world given that it's a second floor site, but I mean, a gun like that off the board, plus a player like Soy off the board early is never ideal.
Yeah. Obviously, like you said, at the end of the day, losing the sledge isn't too horrific given the fact that soft breach isn't something that you really, really need. But in saying that, having Soyo off the board, having that entry off the board for Bliss definitely removes a lot of aggression and removes a lot of firepower from this roster. But in saying that, 4v5, it's still entirely doable. Angry goes for a run out bottom white. It's unsuccessful in finding anyone. But a 4v5 in a traditional bomb side like Kid Storms is very, very impactful because of the various angles that you can hold and crossfires. And saying that, I believe they're going for an armory flank actually, with the Jaeger and the Mew. I'm not sure if anything's going to eventuate off of that. Weasel holding a tight angle. Cass actually gets the incredible nade onto bottom attic. Oh my goodness!
Oh my lord, it's coming together.
It's an avalanche. I think
Bliss. I mean, they're just playing their game. They're playing the mechanical skill. They're playing the attack the way it should be. Even with the utility in play that there is, the eggs just working their way around it. Sav finding Weasel, Jesse, the last one left alive at Kid Storms at the moment. Crouch walking her way to death. Unfortunately, Bliss, a quick 2-0 to start it off.
I know that I did say 5v4 in a traditional site like this is definitely very impactful. But in saying that, I think Bliss just showed in that round that if they want something and they see an opportunity, they're gonna go straight up. They're gonna walk straight up and take it. And I think they definitely stole one off RDC there.
Most definitely. And the pivot once again, KT down to the basement. So obviously not feeling overwhelmingly comfortable with any of the attacks or any of the defenses so far rather. Radical Rebels, I mean, something needs to change quick, and you gotta hope that it's basement for them.
Yeah, I think them cycling through all 3 sides so far on the East defenses kind of shows that there's maybe running out of ideas perhaps on what they can do to salvage the situation. Obviously going 0-2 down on defense on Oregon is never ideal. By no means is it unsalvageable, but they're definitely making it very hard on themselves. But maybe, basement might be their site. Traditionally, yeah, when teams go for a top-down clear, it does take them quite a lot of time. And if characters such as Angry or Meeps can waste enough time on the top floor on their roam game, then maybe we can see a victory for
Moving out to
RDC
locate
finally.
a bomb and defuse it.
We'll have to see. They set themselves up for it here in the defense, but so far, I mean, this is. I don't want to say basic because I don't think that's necessarily the word, but the most meta in terms of operator lineups that we're seeing from the defense. I mean, you're not seeing anything that little bit off center. We're not seeing the Azami picked up to any. I mean, she's been so potent on these maps that even just a little bit defensive sided can skew that gap so much more, and Radical not even touching it.
Yeah, I think the potential of having a hold 2 or 3 floors up to delay time is definitely very important. But I think RDC are missing out a little bit in terms of actually they're holding just the 2nd floor here. There's, I believe, 3 players downstairs, 3 players in Green Hall, 1 player actually moving up to T2. What do I know? Meeps with the entry frag onto So, just swinging attic hatch like it's nothing. But in saying that, I think Bliss is still making good time. Although they're down in numbers, they're making good time on a basement clear. And Meeps has actually still got attic control, which is very concerning because for most teams they actually have to get meeting hatch open in order to go for an execute. But with Sav actually entering split right now, I wonder if she knows that the Jaeger is But does she know that there's someone in T2 currently? Blue Panda. By the hatch, she's just waiting for.
You got to wonder where the flank drones are at the moment for Bliss. They don't have the info. They don't have the ability to contest. If Meeps can come in for a late round execute, that would be absolutely massive. You got to hope that Pi with the Claymores have shut up the angle. 1-for-1 trade. Aussie Ash taken out, but Time for Pi claimed back from Radical. Meeps not quite committing to this push back down. She, I think, is going to head towards Freezer Stairs at the moment, but Sav has the drone in play. I mean, there's just all the angles covered right now. Cass wanting to make the push on down. There's still a huge amount of time to work with. And, well, it seems it was the right call as Cass claimed from behind. And all of a sudden, this push that could have been quite comfortable for Bliss has turned into one that might be a bit tense in the closer.
Yeah, I think when Meeps got the opening on Sawyer, they never actually successfully droned out where she left afterwards, and I think there was a miscommunication or a lack of droning there in terms of where the mute actually went. And the rest of the team are just holding down the site while she does her thing. And you know what? Basement seems to be Radical Rebels' flavor of choice as they take the first round of defense.
Pretty tasty one at that. They make it look clean at the close. And a little bit of concern. Locked out for the next 2 rounds, though. Given how the other bomb sites have played, that's not a positive prospect. In that, you got 3 rounds technically left to be played here on the defense, and you've only been able to win 1 site, which is now locked for 2. That's scary.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
I think
as many bombs as
they
can.
definitely really need to tighten up on their defenses here on Kids Dorms again as they reattempt this site. But last time they did this, they actually started off very well, as you remember, with a very good opening frag onto So. But their side defenses just wasn't strong enough for this one. But I think they're making the necessary changes in order to be a little bit more successful. They're bringing the Oryx, which may help there with Meeps' roaming here. So I think it'll be very interesting to see if Meeps can go for a very, very dirty spawn peek anywhere. Maybe she's waiting for... Yep, she's going for a spawn peek.
Moving out to locate a bomb.
This is actually, I don't know if you know this, Blue Panda, but Meeps is actually quite famous in Women's League for running out of small tower door. So I'll be very interested to see if my girls actually listen to me and are watching this run out.
We'll see. She's holding off for it, and there we go. The run, the full send.
No,
She did spot
Nothing to it.
someone out on the master bedroom balcony, it would seem, but unfortunately, no, not able to connect from range.
Yep. Oh, RDC. That's Sawyer off the board almost immediately again. I don't think Sawyer's having the best of games right now, but I think, yeah, that was just a straight peek from games window yet again. I think RDC, what they're doing right now, getting aggressive on the entries, not letting So or anyone from Bliss getting comfortable on the map is definitely what they need to be doing, because once Bliss get too much ground, they get too comfortable, they're just allowed to do whatever the hell they want. So I think getting aggressive on the entries is definitely the play for RDC here.
Well, Time for Pie answers back. Aussie Ash now removed. And as much as Sawyer's having a bit of a rough game, I think the same could be said for Aussie Ash currently. Taken out and fragged. But right now, it's not the easiest of roads for Bliss to get in. They've still given themselves some breathing room, though. They've got about 1:40 to work with and approaching the site. This, the first steps are the right ones.
Yeah. So I think clearing bottom pit with a nade is definitely some. In saying that, not only did they not clear bottom attic, Jessie actually gets away with a very impactful frag on Time for Pie, leaving Cass all by her lonesome in attic. She has given up lower pit, but she is watching the drop down, which is going to be very important. Weasel's holding a very nice angle onto T1 in case that Cass decides to evacuate from attic. But I think right now Cass is maybe deciding to chase the kill. She's looking a little indecisive, actually. Weasel is actually wasting a lot of good time here. Cass is actually deciding not to go for it, and she's just going to. This is all coming apart for Bliss a little bit.
It's looking a bit bleak. Cass finds one. Sev to bring it back to the 2 versus 2. So as bleak as it looked, it is well and truly doable, especially with 2 Adrenal Surges. Jessie spots Cass dropping down into pit. Unfortunately, the Adrenal Surge too little too late. And Jessie, again, 2 kills to close the rounds. This in basement at her playground.
Yeah, I think Jessie came up absolutely huge in that round, holding down lower attic like an absolute champion, getting away with 2 kills at the end of that. Actually, 2 of the most impactful players on Bliss being Time for Pie and Cass. Taking attic is actually one of Bliss's strongest points, so being able to hold that down is incredibly impactful for Jessie as Bliss actually takes her time out.
So does that mean you're going to have to go and yell at them during the tech timeout, or
I might have to vacate this broadcast. No. I don't think. I think they're smart enough players at the end of the day to figure out what they're doing wrong. I think they know exactly what they need to adjust without me telling them. I don't think me being there is going to help them too much at all. They're very smart individual players. They'll figure it out, I think.
Well, as it is, back to meeting hall and kitchen, given that obviously the primary and secondary sites now having been locked out. Is there any cause for concern, KT?
Certainly, I think. It's at 2-2 right now. By no means is that a bad scoreline, but the manner in which they have lost the 2 rounds, and that's 2 rounds in a row for RDC. And I did speak about earlier in the broadcast about how momentum is everything in this game. So RDC right now have all the momentum riding with them. And it's up to Bliss now to really respond and get a round back and interrupt the momentum before it might spiral out of control from here.
I hate to break it to you, KT. Momentum actually doesn't play Rainbow Six at all. He's too busy playing other games. But right now, as we get deeper and deeper into this half, it's again, I suppose it's still worth reiterating, this is RDC's defense. They then have to play into the attack in the second half, which does mean that Bliss get to play the defense. So just because they find themselves in a less than favourable scoreline at the moment, given their past results, doesn't mean that the second half will be any less successful than they have been in the past.
And Weasel goes straight for another spawn peek. These RDC girls are really not letting Bliss have any inch of the map for free, and I think that's a fantastic way of going about it. Like I said before, getting Bliss uncomfortable, getting Bliss out of the rhythm is probably the most important thing in order to get rounds on these girls. So I think what RDC are doing is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they've looked quite comfortable in the last couple of rounds. I mean, Radical really pushing Bliss to their limits at the moment. So hopefully there is, like you said, some way to break the momentum. Hopefully that pause does them justice. But I mean, already I suppose that early aggression that we've seen so far out of Radical, they are trying to meet Bliss as they enter the building, which is really the way you should be playing this map.
Yeah, for sure. Because Oregon is one of those maps where once you take too much control, once you have all the cutoffs ready, it is really not a map where you can just sit on site and wait for the opponents because of how much destructibility there is on each floor and how many nades each team now carry. It's virtually impossible for you to sit comfortably on site without actually getting railed a little bit, for lack of a better term. So the way a Radical Rebel is meeting Bliss in spawn pretty much is really, really a good tactic, which a lot of teams need to learn from better, I think.
Oh, time for pie.
Oh, time for...
Look, she's trying to clear the bulletproof cam.
She's got a Gorn 6, I think.
Yeah, but what if she wants to use it for other utility that might be more important, KT? It seems to be the bane of the existence of every women's league team at the moment. These bulletproof cams are just not forgiving at all. Aussie Ash for one, but traded back by Cass, so the losses actually accounted for in the flurry of action right now. There is 2 smokes in hand, so they can look to go for a cheeky plant on the stage if they find that opening, or find the willingness, rather. Nades being prepped, that utility dump to come through. Jesse looking for something, but nothing being presented, given that Bliss are all playing around the big tower stairs. Nade there, Aussie on the plant. Coverage is there, and the angles. There's no way for Radicals to try and deny this behind the table. And now in the post, they have to force something onto the site. Time for Pie holding close right. Meeps absolutely executed. Time for Pie. Good for 2. And Jesse from above shut down by Soy.
That goes to show, once again, even though meeting might be something that you want to put out once in a while, it's definitely a tertiary site for a reason. Once you get control of the big tower, once you get control of attic hatch through the attic holes, it's very difficult to play retake. Once you get the smokes down onto split and kitchen rotate, it's almost virtually impossible to walk into site and play retake without being met by one of Bliss's guns. And in that case, they walked straight into Time for Pie and she punished them.
Did indeed. Very much an action-filled map so far, and shows 0 signs of stopping, of course. And as we get into the final round of the half, defense underway. I mean, that momentum you talked about, it has been broken, but has it been broken well enough?
Honestly, I don't think RDC will be too fussed about them losing that one. Or obviously, you're never too happy when you lose a round, right? But if they were to lose one, obviously their tertiary site would be the one that they're most vulnerable on, as they've shown already. But this means they have a chance to go back to their preferred side of choice, which they have won already, and maybe end this defense on a high with a close to perfect basement hold that they did last time.
We'll have to see the roam upstairs once again. Meeps is
Going for a
leaning
small
into
peek.
it, I suppose. It'd be the best way to describe it, KT. And do you reckon the Soy fall for it again?
No, I think there are some things where you're so scarred by it when you die to that there's absolutely no chance that you'll ever fall for again. I know, to give you an example, the Jigsaw run out that's famous on Cafe, when I died to it once in scrims, I've never ever attempted to go through Riverdock's spawn ever again. So I think it's one of those things where once you die to it once, you're so scarred, it would never happen again. I believe in Soy. Oh my god.
Name-dropping former Bliss players. You love to see it, but
I got it. Otherwise no one else is going to do it for me.
well, right now,
Oh
Weasel,
my god!
Weasel
Not really
spoon-fed
sure.
the kill. Soy picks it up, looking for the second, and Meeps
Oh
in
my
a lot
god!
of danger. Doesn't commit to the kill, will hand it over to Sav, in fact. That was a colossal fumble.
To be honest, I'm not really sure what Weasel was perhaps trying to achieve there, given that they both knew that there were 2 people very heavily into big window already. Maybe she was trying to find an exit for her Meeps that wasn't just through attic, but like you said, I think that was a colossal fumble. They really could have maybe held attic for a bit longer, maybe fell off from attic hatch and dropped to T1 stairs, dropped laundry, dropped anything other than doing that, Blue Panda.
So, done anything rather than dropping the bag.
Yep.
But right now, I mean, look, it's still basement. They've still wasted a bit of time. Unfortunately, a 5 versus 3 is never a favourable situation to play. And I think unless you're Stigs right now, but even today, you know, that's not the case.
Oh, no.
The hatch is being opened up. Bliss getting all that legwork done early so they can start this pressure onto the site. Aussie Ash, Jessie, and Angry have some big work on their hands. Jessie, I mean, she has the clutch potential. We've seen it from her before. But, I mean, even this situation, that's far more than she's had to do in previous rounds.
Yeah, this is asking a lot, even for great players like Jessie and Angry, who have just obviously fallen down to Time for Pi. But Ash gets an immediate refrag. Ash is actually in a very, very big power spot right now, a spot that most would call either power spot or Charla. This is very important, and okay. Unfortunately, Savari's right into it, nades coming in, and there's just, I think the numbers just played a big factor in there, and there was no way they were able to trade out a 2v4 there.
Yeah, unfortunately, holding the bomb chest, he can be a deadly prospect as well. And yeah, just the odds stacked a little bit too high for Jessie to be able to overcome. We'll just have to, look, go into the half knowing that they have a little bit of a longer journey than they would have liked. But Bliss now to the defense with a 4-2 half. That's quite comfortable, I think, honestly.
Yeah, this is definitely the best case scenario, one of the better case scenarios that I have anticipated for the girls going into this. I think 4-2 on attack on Oregon is fantastic. Obviously, a 6-0 would have been even better, but with a team that's as capable as Radical Rebels, I don't think that's something that was maybe achievable on our end. So I think we'd definitely take a 4-2 going into the half, and they'll be definitely hoping to start their defenses strong on kids and dorms. No more messing around on meeting, I guess.
Yeah, that's the one. Not wanting to take the gamble early on because, I mean, it's gambling. It's in the name. It's not a guaranteed thing, whereas you go to the primary and tertiary, there's a reason you drill it. There's a reason you put so much time into practicing it. It's the one that you're looking to pick up points with.
Yeah, I think with the 3 sites on that you can go to on every single map, kids, dorms, and basement on Oregon are definitely the ones where you can't really afford to lose. Those are the sites that you really need to take on defense in order to come out with a victory. Meeting, you'd always hope that you want to be able to take it, but there's obviously a lot more variables. But with a starting off with a kids dorms hold, you're definitely looking to take away a very comfortable victory on this round. In saying that, Mips is already actually into T2 with 2.5 minutes still on the clock, and I think she knows there's someone right there, and she's not going to chase after it. Just throw a nade. Okay, just throw a nade there, but the mute is already ran long gone past back into kitchen. I think Time for Pi doing some early distraction, getting RDC really hesitant is really doing favors for Bliss in terms of map control, but no harm, no foul on RDC sides normally, I think.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. A minute burnt is still salvageable for RDC on the attack. They're going to have to hit their shots quite comfortably, though. Early pre-fires will give away Time for Pi's position, but Weasel, it's a matter of can she hit the headshot? Yes, she can. Time
what
for
a
Pi.
shot!
Sliced and served up.
That was, I think, greedy, for lack of a better word. That was definitely greedy on Time for Pi's part. And Weasel definitely just punished her. And that was a very, very lovely shot on Weasel to hit the first-time headshot. Jesus Christ.
Indeed. There's still a lot of work, though, to be done for the Radical Rebels. Just because they found an early pick does not mean that they are locked in and able to get onto the site. So hopefully, if they are to find success here and start to march towards the comeback, it starts here. But, I mean, you look at the positioning for Bliss, they're quite comfortable holding this one down.
Yeah, I think oh my god, I think with the kids and dorms defense is very, very important for the attack to actually get the master breach open, which has not been open, nor has the Cade Claw been extracted from that breach. So Sawyer can actually sit very comfortably on the cross for anyone wishing to exit the bottom pit of attic. So that is a power position right here. Cass can sense there's someone actually there waiting for her and does a lot of damage, but is unable to find a finishing kill. Cass actually finds a finishing kill right now. Does she know that there's potentially someone else waiting there? There's 2 that's about to actually make her life very miserable right now. Oh, Blue Panda is coming down to the wire, I think.
Angry goes down to the toxic canister, and well, Aussie Ash has no clue that she's jumping to her death. Follow that up with a second player. Unsure about their death. Sav rounds it out with a kill on the Meeps. And well, it was just a clinical hold off of the execution there for Bliss. What a way to deny.
I think that's maybe the second or third, if I'm not correct, that where Radical Rebels actually got the first pick but ended up losing the round. I think with Bliss, a very, very good trait to have on a team is not to lose your mental, not to lose your structure when you go man down and still play the strat that you've practiced for. And I think that Bliss did that to perfection on that round.
Indeed, they did. Up 5-2 now. On the home stretch, looking to close it out, of course. But there's every chance that obviously Radical will show up in this basement defense. And, well, I mean, this is one of those sites can be quite hard to get into, but can also be quite hard to get back into.
Yeah, for sure. Like we saw on Radical Rebels' last defense, if you commit to that roam, it's actually sometimes very, very hard to get back on and be able to get back on site if the opposition team actually take enough ground on the opposite side of where you're roaming. So it's very important for the Bliss players to not get caught out if they are going for a roam. I think Sav right here is hunting for a potential T2 drone. Doesn't seem to get any, but is making a T2 rotate into Attic, which might be important later on for any potential late flanks onto Attic, maybe onto Kids, top white, like what Meeps was doing. But I think that's a very good rotate to have for a fallback option for your roamers.
Yeah, most definitely. Meeps bringing the Capital into play. I'm intrigued as what the game plan is, of course, given that, I mean... all right, Cass.
Okay,
all
Cass. Right. That's a bit toxic.
No, what do you mean? It's athletic, stretching out the hamstring.
Yeah. That's... I honestly, Blue Panda, I should be the last person to say that that's toxic. Because, obviously, I am the pioneer of the C crouch spam in Women's League. But, in saying that, Weasel was actually making very, very good time into kitchen, sprinting all the way to Green Hall, actually, following a drone very nicely, very close in proximity. Maybe she catches this nerd. The T1 player very smartly shoots a drone and falls straight back to Shaiko with no potential for a drone refrag there.
Well, ideally there's some avenue in. Ozzy getting aggressive onto the freezer stairs, falls back the fadeaway. Enough to deter Radical Rebels just for a little bit. We'll just tuck herself in by the dehydrated meats, of course. Interesting that, you know, it's some sort of like cult house. Actually, no, that's not that crazy that they've got dehydrated meats on stock. But, I mean, this push is already slowing down. Radical Rebels have lost some of that heat that they've been bringing in.
Yeah, I think this is definitely really slowed down compared to Weasel's initial push into kitchen. I think once the drones were shot on the entry, they definitely got a little bit more timid, a little bit more afraid to push things without a drone. Weasel's actually got quite a nice angle there, but needs to get rid of that shield in order to actually land any shots onto a smoke there. Sav has a very nice position on highway, watching the freezer holes for Aussie, who's sitting by the freezer box. 4v5 here, it's looking a little dicey, Blue Panda, with only 45 seconds left. 3v5 now.
Soy, big kill there on the Weasel. Was on the bulletproof can the entire time. Sav has the angle of the freezer. Should spot the gun barrel. Notice that Jesse was going prone. Gemini will go deep in towards the middle of the bomb site. That basement corridor to give the information out. But Soy on the swing gets it down onto Aussie Ash. Still covering freezer. No impact denied there. Keratos out. Looking for the kill. Aussie Ash. It's gearing up to be a flawless. The plant to go down, and Cass will make it so. What a round from Bliss.
That was a perfect way to counter-execute Capital with your spokes, holding your angles. That's why in a numbers down disadvantage, that a basement attack is almost impossible to play into because of just the power positions that the defense can hold. With Sav holding down highway, with Aussie still sitting freezer, there was just no way for them to get out of freezer alive. And without freezer, going laundry is virtually impossible because of the smokes on Aussie. And they can do nothing to Aussie because she still has a shield, and it just kind of goes further and further down from there. But it's a collapse that I think Radical Rebels will be ruining themselves for the next couple of rounds.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they
Yeah,
can.
I think I disconnected there for a second.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
I
back.
forgive
I
you.
don't know. I don't know what happened. My internet's doing some funny things at the moment, but we're back. We're ready to go. Bliss map point 6-2 currently. So it's comeback time. We know this.
oh yeah. It's always winnable. I think no matter when someone just the worst thing that I actually hate when a Rainbow Six player does Blue Panda is actually when they say GG before a round's over or even when a game's over because even at 6-2 it's very winnable. It only takes a couple of rounds for RDC to claw back the mental, and Bliss don't actually have a tack anymore, given that they used it in the 4th round. So I think it's important for RDC to not lose sight of the fact that they are. It seems quite hard, but they are only 4 rounds away from clawing back to OT, and you never know what's going to happen after that.
Most definitely, indeed. There is still, yeah, like you said, still potential. This isn't a done deal, not by any stretch of the imagination. It is a pretty one-sided deal, that much you know. And you look at Bliss, you look at the setup. I mean, they've got a denial in the form of the Tashanka. Not to mention that DP27 in the hands of Kasu. Well, she's going to put it to work. Angry's already dead.
That is my wife right there. But yeah, that angle definitely was not checked by Angry at the time of her jumping in, and Cass just absolutely punished her on the vert. That's definitely a very popular angle for defenders to hold, especially when you can't be watching big window. Sav got, oh my goodness, I thought that was a headshot. Never mind. But traded out very quickly by Meeps and by Time for Pi. And Sav is just playing on this sandbags area in meeting, which actually should not happen if they just open meeting bridge. But Weasel actually gets another kill onto the Tachanka, so that's a lot of denial down with Banner. And with a minute 30, 3v3, there's actually no denial left on the side of Team Bliss.
Except for the 3 guns in play.
Of course.
They've already proven that they can use quite capably. Sav, 10-4 at the moment. And Soy watching from above. I mean, look at the angles that she has that she can cover this plant at a significant advantage as well, mind you. Anyone looking to try and contest Hatch is going to hit a ripper of a headshot immediately if they want even a shred of a shot at taking her out of this. But there's so much positioning that needs to be covered here for Radicals to actually successfully execute.
Yeah, this is very important for Soy to actually hold down this angle. She can actually, I believe, get onto the hatch without being spotted on that. They're actually going for a kitchen rush, I believe. The same way that Bliss was going to do in the 1st round. And Aussie might be in trouble here behind the pillar. No, Aussie gets one shot, is blinded actually. Can she be traded out here? Aussie Ash is holding the angle, looking for Aussie's head actually. Aussie first Aussie, but there's good cover from Bliss, Soy actually. And it's all down to Weasel in a 1v3 situation, and no, they shut it down straight away. And that's a GG, Blue Panda. Never mind.
A colossal failing. The stun goes deep. Fully white screens Aussie Princess, but no one there to capitalize. They didn't chase it down, and they allowed Aussie Princess to reposition to try and contest the push. Unfortunately, for Radical Rebels, it goes kind of the way we expected it to. For Bliss, it's business as usual, of course. Locked in, top of the table, 9-0. Well, 10-0, I believe.
It's kind of obviously every single week is getting a little bit it's a little bit more, we're just working towards our goal at the end of the season, which is obviously to win the grand final. We're just taking it one game at a time, and right now 10-0, it's definitely a good feeling. We'll be lying obviously if we said we weren't expecting this, but in saying that, this was definitely a harder game than the scoreline maybe leads us to believe.
Yeah, Cthulhu, I mean, that's probably the sentiment I would have as well. Bliss looked like they were a little bit concerned. You know, rounds 3 and 4 looked a little bit shakier than we thought, but on the whole, they closed it out quite comfortably.
Yeah, look, I mean, there were a couple of small hiccups here and there, but I mean, having, a full and perfect game is obviously quite difficult to always have. So look, kudos where they should be. RDC did definitely try to put in all the effort possible, but yeah, at the end of the day, the result was relatively expected.
Yeah, it was a possibility, but it was still a bit of a long shot, we think, for Radical Rebels to pick up that victory. So for this to happen, yeah, look, I can't say I'm honestly surprised, but I do believe we have the matches for this week, the results rather, ready to go. So let's have a look at how the night played out. Of course, on stream we had that match, that massive match between Inferno and Benchwarmers. It was 168. Bliss pushed a little bit further tonight than, well, you would have thought. Viking Army actually taking down Radical Rebels earlier on as well. Viking Army also picking up the double bag, KT. So they're still hot on Bliss's heels.
Yeah, this would be definitely a fight to the very, very bitter end, I think. I think Bliss actually play Viking Army next week, so that would definitely be a barn burner for sure, given how Viking Army performed this week, taking down Fury and Radical Rebels, who are both vying for the 3rd and 4th position for the finals. And I think the Fury one, maybe it was a little bit disappointed by it, because maybe I was expecting it to be a little bit of a closer match, but I think Viking Army are really showing that their prowess on Oregon for sure.
And Cthulhu, I mean, for the rest of the results, I mean, kind of business as usual once again. I mean, Fury pick up a win today, but it is off the back of a forfeit. They lose to Viking Army, and we find ourselves just asking more questions week after week as to this team that came into the season looking like they were going to be a top contender just keeps slipping down the leaderboard.
Well, that plus, I mean, I can't really discredit as well some of the other teams that started, putting in the effort. I mean, Viking Army, a roster that has been going for quite a while and finally starting to, get in the actual, the hard yards in. It is fully understandable that, with Viking Army starting to actually put in quite the big performance, one of the teams was kind of bound to kind of fall off, at least for some time. So I reckon we could be seeing quite a bit of a rise of some of the newer contestants. But yeah, it's a bit of an unfortunate kind of result at the end of the day for Fury, given the sheer amount of hype that was generated, and to find the results kind of like that.
Yeah, most definitely, of course. But as we progress through the evening as well, once more looking to the future, there is every possibility that things could get funky and wild. But it's more the leaderboard that I'm interested by at the moment, of course. Seeing where we stand currently at the end of play day number 4. And oh, look, who would have thought? Who would have thought 10-0, top of the leaderboard, Bliss, but Viking Army hot on their heels. Look at the gap, KT. 30 points, 27 points, and a 9-point drop down to 3rd.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a 2-horse race for number 1 spot in for the end of the season. And next week, I think will really determine whether Viking Army can challenge Bliss. But in saying that, I think the round differential comes in handy for Bliss, being obviously plus 56. Being plus 56, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be that much, but if it is, it's pretty darn impressive, I think, for Panda.
Well, I mean, given that you guys, it was plus 45 at the beginning of the evening. So they had a pretty quick run. They dropped 6 rounds collectively. So, yeah, actually, I think that's spot on. That's 100% accurate right now. But we also have a bit of a giveaway, Cthulhu. Popsugar, they've got some big stuff going on for you guys at home. If you guys want to get involved, make sure you're locked in, ready to go. Get yourself in the chance to win an LG OLED Evo TV, plus those earbuds as well. And look, it's a pretty chunky prize to be picking up. So get along to the link you see on your screen. It closes on the 29th, tomorrow. It closes tomorrow with the winner being announced the 1st of August. Enter your details. Join it all. Get involved. 20 words or less. What new show or movie are you most excited to watch? And look, unfortunately, I can't win it being in New Zealand at all, but I'm sure there are many Australians out there who would jump at Cthulhu. But speaking of jumping at opportunities, unfortunately, we can't jump at it anymore because that does close out our evening. Next week, though, that's the exciting one. Do you reckon, KT? Do you reckon Bliss can hold on to that top spot?
We might have a surprise for you next week, actually. So stay tuned for that.
KT's playing Cthulhu.
Might be a surprise here and there. You never know. That's very rude, actually, Blue Panda. But you know, you guys humored me by wearing your Bliss hoodies this week, and I'm very appreciative of that. But in saying that, I think next week's game will be even closer than the 7-4 with BB this last game. So I think it'll be very, very close. Yep.
Cthulhu, what a night it has been. We'll send it off. We'll send everyone home. We'll see you guys back next week. Well, we won't. We'll see you the week after, of course. But next week, Proto and Spud taking you all through it. Make sure you're back for it. Play day number 5. Catch you all later. Have a good one.
We know that for each second in esports, you are dedicated to winning. Over a decade, XL Series has evolved alongside with gamers. We strive to make every product detail perfect so that you can perform at your best. We are honored to stand with you, the pro gamer who keeps fighting to win in esports. Elevate your skill and maximize your potential with the ultimate gaming monitor. Zowie. Strive for perfection. Focus on winning.